Hello. Hello. Okay. Okay. I think that that's working. And if it's not, it's not, but I think it's working. All right. All right. How sorry, adjusting my volume and shit. Okay. I'd like to see this if you would. Could I... There we go. Okay. All right. Hello. Hello, interwebs. I'm back from the dead yet again to stream nonsense. And I am a little bit all over the place. If you haven't noticed, I've noticed. Um, so I'm still setting a couple things up, annoyingly. Um, we have a schedule for the day. What do you know? It's the same schedule we already had. Yay! Last stream we did our intro, we did our 11th era time, we did our break, we did our classic time, we did our break, topic time, miscellaneous, outro. That was the stream setup last time. It's what we're going to be doing again. Except this time, the 11th era is actually going to be split into two sections, but I didn't make a new schedule. Uh, Today we're going to be talking about the Time of Angels two-parter, or as I call it most of the time, the Crash of the Byzantium two-parter. And because we're talking about that, I am going to need to talk about the ending. And because I hate myself, I'm also going to be talking about Meanwhile in the TARDIS too. And we are going to be having those have their own section because I don't want to talk about them at all, let alone while I'm trying to talk about a really good episode. A really good two-parter. I really like the Time of Angels two-parter, so it's really unfortunate that it has the ending that it does. So we're not going to be talking about the ending within that section. We're going to keep the two things very separate. So when I praise Amy, I don't need to say, accept the ending. I don't need to keep bringing that up because we're going to talk about that separately. As for classic time, I said I was going to get through the rest of the first Dalek story. I just didn't. I procrastinated. I got through another episode though. I just watched it, so it's fresh in my mind. Uh, and as for topic time, we'll get to it when we get to it. We'll get to it when we get to it. Then of course miscellaneous outro. All very, very simple. Also for today, for the first time, I will not be playing Roblox on stream. Not because I have anything against Roblox, but because I don't want to. I really want to animate today. Still don't have a capture card though, so what's gonna happen is that we are all gonna be adults about this, okay? I am not paying for Deskin, especially when it's falsely advertised that one of its features is that I don't have a time limit on screen mirroring, and yet for some reason I keep having a time limit. I looked it up to double check. I'm not supposed to, but I keep having one. So if this thing kicks me out of the session and I need to take a second and reconnect it, or I don't bother to reconnect it and I just keep talking, we're all going to deal with it like adults because we can all agree that paying for a subscription service just to do screen mirroring, something that I should be able to do on this to begin with, is stupid. We can all agree to that, right? Okay. Okay. So, sorry, it's taking a second. the fuck is it doing? Alright, cool. Alright. So I'm going to be animating. That's what I'm going to be doing today. And we're going to talk about Time of the Angels. I'm doing a short, the Undertale Soul Trend thing. I'm going to mute the audio so it doesn't keep distracting me. I mean, I'm going to have to unmute it at some point just because, it's going to get real annoying to try and animate without it real fast. But for right now, I'm muting the audio. So, All right. So let's talk about the first half of the episode, of the two-parter. Time of Angels, Time of the Angels. I can talk. I can. I swear. I have notes, which is important because I'm bad at remembering things. I'm bad at it. All right. So, the first scene, as we all know, is the scene of River being sick. She goes over to the stupid homebox thing and writes "Hello, sweetie" into it. Great, we love that. But that's not the first thing I want to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is scene 1, the first scene we get with Amy. She's great from jump. She's going to be great throughout this entire two-parter. The entire thing, except for the part we're not talking about. She is great. And it's honestly making me think that maybe I was a bit too hard on her writing-wise. Maybe it's not writing. Maybe she was intentionally supposed to be awkward because she just was new to the TARDIS. Maybe I'm the asshole. I don't know. I'm going to obviously do a retrospective on all the characters and the arcs when I get to the finale. I'm probably going to have like a whole, like, its own section in a completely separate stream. Probably. We'll get there when we get there. But right now that I just want to say, Amy characterized great so far. Throughout this entire two-parter, she's great from scene 1. She's going to keep being great. It's a shame about certain aspects. Anyway, a lot of my notes are just me gushing about 11 River. I don't want to gush too much about 11 River because, I mean, we're going to be having a little section about them during a different section of this stream. So instead, I am just going to say I love them and they're great this episode. And people are so weird about them for no reason. I mean, I know some of the reasons that people get real annoyed when you bring up. Like, for example, how people just can't seem to stand it when older women are with younger men, but can really get behind older men with younger women. I'm just saying. Just saying. Anyway, I haven't done much animating. I have got to admit, despite me really wanting to animate, I am very bad at talking while drawing. Drawing, texting. Bad at talking while doing both. So maybe I should stick to, like, lining my keyframes or something. Something easy. Something where I won't have to think as hard. Like, not planning out my next keyframes. Just doing this. Anyway. We cut to the Doctor and Amy after we go through River being a boss. Well, I mean, it's sort of in between. We go back and forth. That's not the point. But we cut back to them, and they're in a museum. And my first thought, while actually looking at this museum, was, that's a church. There's no way in hell that's a museum. You're telling me that that's not a museum. That's a church. I don't know if they filmed in a church or they just built a set that, like, looked a lot like a church. Or maybe it wasn't technically like a church. Maybe it was just like an old building in, like, Wales. I guess that's possible. I'm sure there's plenty of old buildings in Wales that look like churches but aren't. I'm just saying that I looked at that and immediately went, that's a church, not a museum. Speaking of the church, this is technically I should be saying this later, but as we all know, I'm very bad at staying on topic. Technically speaking, my point was that the doctor's really weird about the church this episode. Which is fine. Like, I'm fine. I'm not someone who gets annoyed about when sci-fi starts making fun of religion. I'm not a religious person. I don't really care. But I do find it really weird that, like, he's seemingly okay with the military this season. Literally BFF slash maybe dating Winston Churchill. But faith is where he draws the line? Like, weird choices you're making there, Doctor. But I mean, hey, whatever, right? Who gives a shit, really? I'm just saying that it's weird. It's a weird choice. Anyway, we cut back to Amy and the doctor. They're in a museum. He's doing this thing called keeping score, where he just goes in a museum and points out whatever is his or blatantly wrong, which is funny, but it does make me question, does every doctor do this, or is it just 11? River says that she says it like every doctor does it. Or she says it as though 11 has gone to literally every museum in the universe, which I guess is also possible. My point is, do other doctors do this? Do other doctors just take their companions to museums specifically to do this? Because I think that's funny. I think it's really funny to imagine 9 going to a museum specifically to point out stuff that's wrong to Rose. He would do that on a field trip with him, Rose, and Jack, actually. And Jack would have snuck alcohol into the museum in his water bottle. And Rose would steal a couple sips. That's what I think. And it would be a date. Jack would call it a date. The doctor would not call it a date, but Jack would. And Rose would silently agree with him. Or not so silently. I do kind of ship all 3 of them. I honestly ship all 3 of them more than I ship just the Doctor and Rose. Which either says a lot about me or a lot about how weird the Doctor and Rose are as a couple. That I am obligated to have a third person just to be able to ship them properly. You can decide for yourself which it is. I'm not going to. I don't want to psychoanalyze me. I do want to psychoanalyze the show. That's not the point. So we cut back. The doctor goes and finds the home box and sees what River wrote into it. And his just sheer disappointment, like his sheer, like, ugh, like just expressed on his face without him ever saying it the second he reads, "Hello, sweetie." That's his wife. I think it's really fun watching them this episode. Again, I don't want to talk too much about them. I could for hours. I love them so much. I love them so much. You don't understand. But I don't want to just spend the entire time talking about them. So let's try and move on to something else. So River leaves out the airship, bops into him, and then we go and see our scene around the TARDIS and everything. And I noticed for the first time that one of the Doctor's controls on that TARDIS is pinball. Like it's one of those things where you shoot the ball up in pinball. Which kind of implies either that there is like kind of a pinball section of this TARDIS, or that he just has the ball shoot into a different control and that triggers something. And either way, I just think it's funny. I love the 11th Doctor's first TARDIS. His first TARDIS is so fun. It is the best. Anyway, River completely clowns on the Doctor and flies the TARDIS better than him. People have pointed out the fact that, like, oh, if it's the brakes being left on that makes that sound, how come every Time Lord has that sound? And my response is two things. One, how many other Time Lords have we seen drive the TARDIS? I don't think that many. Like the Master? Maybe there's a ton more who do in Classic, but like, I think in New Who it's just the Master, and that's it. And like, maybe they also like the sound. That's totally possible. I could see the Master leaving the brakes on just because they like the sound. It goes with the drums in their head. Um, or maybe other TARDISes are designed to have the sound too. Who's to say? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's not that far fetched for it to have been him leaving the brakes on. Uh, Number two, if the TARDIS is designed for multiple people to drive it, I'm sure plenty of people in that situation would accidentally leave the brakes on. I don't know. I think it's just a silly complaint to make. I think that her being able to drive the TARDIS better than him is a fun bit, and I think that that was a fun bit. This episode, this two-parter, both episodes are very funny. Um, which like Moffat's entire era. That's one thing I appreciate about Moffat's era. So it's very funny. RTD's era, it it definitely could be funny, but I laugh way more during Moffat's era than I do during RTD's. And I kind of view Doctor Who as like comedy first, drama second. So I really appreciate when the show's funny. I feel like I've said that before. Maybe I said it in my first stream. Um, but it's how I feel. I've done no animating so far. I told you I'm terrible at talking and drawing. Um, Maybe I should be playing Roblox just for the entertainment value. Just because I seemingly can't be entertaining while I'm just trying to draw. Because if I try and draw, I'm sure I'll go silent. There's also flash stuff in this. Like flashing lights. Should I put like a warning in the corner or something? I don't know. Maybe I should just like, if I have the audio off anyway, maybe I should work on my animatic that I've been meaning to work on. I have most of it done, I swear. Um, okay. See, I'm getting distracted from both things. Both things are distracting me. I'm bad at this. Bad at life. At existence. Alright. That existential crisis out of the way. I liked the bit. I think people are too hard on it. Moving on. I really like all of Amy and River's interactions this episode. I'll get more into it later, but like right out the gate, they're great. Uh, I really like them teaming up and kind of bullying the Doctor together. That's fun. Uh, Speaking of, uh, River lands. They do their whole thing, and she's like, "Wait! Before you go out there, environment checks." And the Doctor's like, "Right, environment checks. I totally forgot. I forgot." And then he goes out the door and he opens it and he starts explaining literally everything about the planet, the atmosphere, the yada yada. Doesn't matter. And I think that that's interesting, especially given the classic episode I just watched. I find his like entire thing to be incredibly interesting. Because that is experience. That's skill, not inherent talent. The Doctor just can't inherently do that because he's a Time Lord, he's so cool. He knows how to do it because of experience. And I think that that's interesting. Uh, I'll talk about it a little bit more during the classic session, but I think that that's great. We move forward. The Doctor, once again, just gets in River's personal space. Oh, I guess I should talk about the scene where he tries to leave. The scene where he's like, Amy's like, "Oh, are you running away?" And he's like, "Yes, time's not the boss of me." The Doctor's really grumpy this episode. He's a gumpy face. As Amy so eloquently puts it. He's Mr. Grumpy Face today. And I really find the Doctor being so upset. I find it to be sad, but also very, like, it's very interesting. Um, like, obviously later when he's just, like, yelling because of the crack and all that shit, like, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is his initial, like, grumpiness at having to be around River just because of how guilty he feels. And, like, that is what it is. It's just guilt. Because the closer that 11 gets to River, the more likely she is to die. And as proven by this very episode, where Amy says, all that stuff with River and you still needs to happen, and he goes, time doesn't work that way. Like, he literally says straight up, like, I don't need to go through all that. Like, you may be arguing, oh, but he just doesn't know all that stuff yet. It's a paradox and all that. Like, you could try and Times lawyer your way out of this. But I think that it's written out so clearly, multiple times, that this is not a relationship they were forced into. Oh my god. I'm spoiling things. I'm spoiling things. We're not going to get into it right now. We're not getting into it right now. Later. We'll talk later about how stupid that is. Ugh. Anyway. Amy's like, oh, you're running away. He says no. Then she's like, oh, it's a planet. You promised a planet. And then he agrees, and then he says, that woman is not dragging me into anything. And he immediately is proven wrong, for the record, because he's stupid, but that's not the point. They go out, the doctor gets way too in her personal space. Gets so close for no reason. And then he introduces her. We have our whole thing about her going spoilers, which is, she's so great. I feel like I haven't said that yet. River is the greatest character in Doctor Who. She's the greatest, period. Like, I don't need to say anything else. If you disagree, argue with the wall. I'm not arguing with you, because I'm right. I don't need to argue with you. River is the best character in the show. Moving on. I don't know what I'm doing. They have their whole talk. She's like, oh, there's something in the belly of that ship that can't die. And then the doctor's actually interested. And then they go over, Amy almost looks at the diary, which, by the way, I need to point out, how is it that the doctor is the one to call her out for that and not River? I feel like she would be way more concerned at Amy looking at the diary than the doctor would be. The doctor doesn't know what's in there yet, but River does. Maybe it's because of that she doesn't react. Because, like, if she reacts, that would tell the doctor that, like, oh, Amy's mentioned somewhere in that diary. And judging by her reaction to his reaction, he might assume, oh, it's something good, it's something bad, it's something important. And River is extremely careful. And people really don't give her enough credit for it. River is extremely careful about what she reveals to the doctor. The doctor is not careful. Doctor is really bad. These are his rules, and he is so bad at, like, actually following them. Like, the worst at it. And it's kind of funny and also kind of annoying. Like, why is River putting in so much effort if you're not going to do the same? Why are you putting this burden on her? Why is this all on her? Follow your own rules if you're going to enforce them so strictly. Anyway, so my sketches always tend to look better to me than my actual cleaned up illustrations, and I think it's just because sketches force you to infer more. Like, I look at this and I can see more emotion, more, like, it's not clean, it's a mess, but I can feel it more, you know? I think that's why I like grittier art. I don't know. I feel like I just got really pretentious out of nowhere. Um, anyway, the fucking church shows up, Octavian and all them, and they're like, "Oh, you promised me an army," and River's like, "No, I promised you the equivalent of an army." And the doctor salutes, which is weird for him. And then Octavian's like, "You haven't told him why we're here." And then River's like, "Have you heard of the weeping angels?" And then the doctor gives his serious, dramatic face, and then we cut. Uh, honestly, all of that, you know, great drama, yada yada. Um, but I like the next scene much better, which is Octavian describing the situation, and the doctor going, "Oh, great, that's just awesome, great." And then Octavian keeps going, and he says, "Yeah, you can stop at any time, you know." And I just, God, this era is so fun. This era is so fun. I miss this era of Doctor Who. I don't want Moffat back. I love the fact that Moffat respects the show enough to not come back. But if you had told me that I had a choice and I needed to bring an old showrunner back, it needed to be, I couldn't have someone new, it needed to be an old showrunner. Moffat. Moffat every time. God. God, he was just so good at writing this show. Even when his seasons were shit, he was good at writing the show. And I stand by that. Anyway, we then have the little scene with Amy where she calls him Mr. Glumpy Face. And that's fun. But we also have her saying, "Is River gonna be your wife?" And then he says, "Yes, I am Mr. Grumpy Face today." You know, with that intentional pause. And I really would love to know why he paused like that. Because that definitely wasn't a case of him not knowing the pause would imply something. So I wonder if he was more just saying it so that he could, like, admit to himself that's why he was, like, being such a dick. Or if I'm overthinking it. Because, like, I know that it wasn't just him, you know, being a grump for the sake of it or anything. Like, I feel like it wasn't him pausing just for the sake of it. I feel like that would be dumb. But in that case, why did he pause? Why would he do that? Then River calls him, and the doctor's like, and then they go over, and they show the clip of the weeping angel, and the doctor's like, "Yep, that's an angel." And honestly, there's not much to say about the scene itself. The doctor rips part of the ship off while talking, and then kind of like him and River kind of look at each other, and then he just bunches up the tape that he pulled off and just like shoves it somewhere. I think that's funny. But it's more just like a recap. If you don't know what the Weeping Angels are, here's what they are. I'm not saying it was a bad recap, it's just not very notable. We move on. I'm gonna look at my notes again just to see if I'm missing anything. Oh. Oh, actually, I didn't talk about that intentionally. Right. Okay. Oh, I noticed River's earrings. There's a couple times in my notes where I put things like fashion choices and hairstyling, and I feel like I really shouldn't put those in my notes because it always distracts me. But River wore studs. I think that's very practical. You know, brief side tangent. Let's just talk about the fashion real quick. Amy's outfit, fashion disaster. If you actually pay attention, blue Converse reddish pink shirt, her orange hair, which I feel like you should style for your hair. Ah, there it is. There it fucking is. I knew it would show up. I knew it would show up. I knew it would do it. I have 5 minutes left, apparently. And there you go. Again, I might have to stop animating and do Roblox anyway, just because I clearly keep getting distracted. Clearly, I've proven that you need to take the drawing pad away from me, because I keep getting distracted. Drawing pad, iPad, same thing, really. At least in my case. For other people, it's not the same thing, but for me, it is. Alright. Alright. In that case, we're gonna close that. Go back onto large cam for a bit. Okay. Let's get resituated. So I'm gonna play Roblox. I might as well switch up my setup a little bit. Okay. Plus I'll need to connect my controller and everything. That's annoying. Pain in my ass. Desking, for the record, is the pain in my ass. ADHD, also a pain in my ass, which is probably part of the reason why I can't do 2 things at once. But we're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into that. Alright, alright. My tracking's gonna get fucked up for a second, but that's okay. We're all gonna live. We're all gonna live. Everybody lives. That's what the doctor says. Alright. Am I louder now? I feel like I moved compared to my mic. Am I louder, quieter? I can't tell. I can't tell. Hold on, let me just check. Hi. Am I louder now? The thing is, I keep turning my headphones off because I hate the echo. But I think it would be more practical to keep them on. No, I can't deal with it. Sorry. Okay. Let's go into Roblox. Alright. I guess I don't really know what to play. I guess I can just play Survive the Disasters. Oh, I could play an obby. Sure. Alright. Oh, dang. I forgot. Alright. Hello? Please connect to my thing. I'm fighting with a controller right now. Why? What's happening? All right. That's concerning. Hold on. Is my controller dead? Is that what the problem is? I need to move my tracker. Am I gonna need to... Alright. Alright. Cool. Cool. That's sick, bro. That's sick, bro. Because I can't play with the keys. This really sucks. This really sucks. Okay. Fine, I will move you. Move you to a different spot so you can stop having a temper tantrum about it. I just... Okay? Because I can't play... Yikes. Okay, hold on. I can't play with this stupid... I'm not having a good day. Can you tell I'm not having a good day? I can tell. I can tell. Alright. So we can't do that. Because apparently my controller is either dead or broken. So that's sick. So instead, you get to make fun of my notes, I guess. That's all I can think to do. I don't like how I'm now looking the wrong direction. There must be a better spot over here that you can have. There, now I'm at least looking the right direction. Hello? There's my notes. They aren't pretty, but they are functional, which is what I'm going for. Alright. I was talking about fashion before this, right? Yeah, fashion. Amy's outfit is a fashion disaster. Orange hair, reddish pink sweater, blue Converse, purple nails, and a gold watch. What? Who styled her today? I like the outfit if you ignore all the accessories, but it's a choice. It's a choice. River's wearing studs. That's very practical of her. You know, we see her wear extravagant earrings on at least one occasion, and I think her wearing studs in this, very practical. The doctor looks like his usual self. What do you know? He doesn't change. His hair, though, in this episode, I give it a pass. I know it was his first filming session or whatever. But that doesn't excuse whatever was happening last episode, now does it? Why did it look like that? Was this a look they were trying to go for? It's bad. Oh, the "you're like rabbits" line. I really like that line. Humans, you're like rabbits, they'll never get done saving you. And he's smiling. He's so happy his little bunnies are just gonna be bouncing around the universe forever. He loves them. Him mouthing "sweetie" like he's still getting used to answering it. Like, it can't be the first time he's heard her call him that. It's not, in fact. So that means that, like, he knows that she's talking to him. It's just that he still isn't used to it. And I find that to be interesting. Oh, the Amy scene directing. Okay, let's just get this out of the way. Amy's the best directed character in this episode. I don't know why, whenever the camera's on her, the director put in the work. Everyone else, everywhere else, it's still good. I'm not saying this is badly directed everywhere else and just good on her, but I'm saying everywhere else it's good, with on her, outstanding. I don't know why, but it's great. This is one of those notes that, like, normally I would just ignore and just not say on stream. Does Amy paint her nails on the TARDIS? Genuinely, though, does she? Why does her nails keep changing if she's not painting them on the TARDIS? Amy wears her watch on the outside L, given the fact that the 11th Doctor and me are inside the wrist watch wearers. She wears hers on the outside L. L move from Amy. So the Doctor reads the Weeping Angels book in, like, you know, half a second, like he normally does with books. He just, like, flips through it and, you know, it's over, and he makes a little joke about it, whatever. But then River comments on the book while he's talking about how wrong it is. And as he's doing that, he was, like, flipping the book towards her. And I was like, did she read it in that time, or is she just referencing it? Because, like, I could believe that River could read that fast. I mean, she is part Time Lord. Not that that's inherently a part of being a Time Lord. Maybe the Doctor just reads really fast. I don't fucking know. But I just thought it was a fun idea. Oh, the entire Amy scene. The fact that River, this entire time, has to pretend like this is just the Doctor's friend who's in danger, rather than her mom, is so unfair. So unfair. She should have the right to kill the Doctor for things like this. I mean, she does, technically, but I'm saying that she should have the right to actually kill him for the fact that she has to keep doing this. It's so sad. My poor baby. Once again, I just had to point out how well directed the scene was. The Doctor unknowingly giving River permission to hug her mom. I'm sure she was grateful. Once again, though, his fault. All of this, his fault. And Kavarian's, obviously. But mostly his fault. And she has the right to kill him. This is like a big jump, but his needle in the haystack fucking twist around quote. I can't even say it, and I just watched the episode, like, not that long ago, but I can't say it. It's like, hay like needle, a hay like needle of death, a hay like needle of death in a haystack full of statues or something like that. And then he goes, "Nah, yours is better." And the way, if you pay attention to River during that entire scene, the way that she looks at him, she's like, Are you serious? Are you serious right now?" And I love that. This era is so funny. This era gets praised for so many things. It should be praised for how funny it is. It's so funny. I love this era so much because it's so funny. And I love all the characters in it. I could gush about this era. Once we get to the end of season 5, I feel like I can just do a stream gushing. Like, I'll summarize my thoughts on season 5 and then I'll have a whole section just gushing because God, I love Moffat era Who. I miss it. There's the scene of Octavian being like, the only reason he's helping you is because of the fact that he doesn't know that you killed him. Here's my thing, though. He would definitely still help her in this situation. And I would argue he would honestly be better in this situation if he knew that he killed her. Because then at least he'd stop being a bitch. Because, like, the reason why he's so angry to see her is because he doesn't want her to die. So if he knows that it's mutual, that, like, she will also kill him, honestly, I think that might make him feel better. Maybe that's just me. But, like, if I heard, like, oh, I'm gonna be responsible for the death of my love interest, but also they're the one that kills me, it would make me feel better. It would definitely make me feel better. I don't know. Maybe the Doctor wouldn't see it that way. But knowing the Doctor myself, unlike Octavian, I know the Doctor. And I think that would honestly make the situation better if he knew. And you know what? I think River might agree with me. But you know, for the sake of spoilers, she can't say anything. Don't worry, we'll talk about spoilers later. The dust coming out of her eye, that effect, the sound design, more than the effect even. Ew. Ew. I hated it. I hated it. When they were describing the Maze of the Dead, they said that, oh, it's just like a normal cavern, but there's dead people in the walls. And isn't that just catacombs? Do I not know what catacombs are? I thought there were dead people in the walls of catacombs. Am I wrong? I'm not looking it up to double check, but like I don't know. I just realized I can't see my. It's fine. Who cares? No one's here. It's just me talking into the void. But you know, sometimes it be like that. Sometimes it be like that. Oh, further into that scene, there's obviously the moment where Amy's like, "So what's the Doctor like in the future?" And River answers by like, "Oh, the Doctor's the Doctor." You know, all very vague. And then she comments about him eavesdropping. What I never noticed in that scene is that if you pay attention, before she answers Amy, she specifically takes the time to look over to see if the Doctor's listening or not. And she must have seen that he was because of what she says later. So she saw him. Most likely what happened, though it was off screen, most likely what happened is Amy asked the question. River looked over and saw him like kind of like pause or like, you know, like fluster like a little bit. Like not fluster, but like he like sort of like scrambled for half a second. And she went, "He's eavesdropping. I need to be very careful about this." And then she decided to make fun of him for it. But like that's had to have been what would happen. And I think that's so cool. That's such attention to detail. I don't know if that was the director or Alex. Either way, great. Great element. Great touch. He keeps getting interpersonal space. He keeps doing it. It's a thing that keeps happening throughout the episode. I'm gonna keep pointing out he keeps getting interpersonal space. Unnecessarily. And like for me it's fun. For aunties, how do you not see it? How do some people look at this relationship and go, clearly he's not interested? On what planet? Because it ain't this one. Filming must have been a pain. I just noticed how dark it was in the room. I was like, filming this must have been a pain in the ass. Like, for the actors, for the fucking film, like, for the camera people, for everyone. It must have been a pain in the ass. It was so dark. they immediately cut to the Doctor like getting super up close and personal with one of the statues, and I was like, knowing the twist, that scene is very unsettling because like, oh my god, he's so close to touching them. Um, Bob shoots at one of the statues, and I was like, no, Bob had the right idea. I know the twist. He was shooting an angel, and he was right for it. Um, Fear keeps you fast. I love that line. Uh, that is also, I mean, if I get any line tattooed from Doctor Who, which I really, really want to. I really want to get one line in Gallifreyan. And I even designed it, but it was just too intricate. So it would either need to be huge or uh I would need to like change up the design to make it slightly less intricate. But it's the whole line where it's like, blimey, that's amazing. Do you know in 900 years of time and space I never met somebody who wasn't important before? Like that's my favorite Doctor Who line, I think, ever. But Fear Keeps You Fast is another contender. And that one's short, so like definitely. I really love that quote. Definitely not my favorite 11 line, but one of my favorite doctor lines. One of my favorite doctor lines. Why is he more against the church than Churchill? I brought that up earlier, but it still annoys me. Why? How could we not notice that? Low level perception filter, or maybe we're thick. That's another great little line. I really like any line where the Doctor is like pointing out that he too is fallible, that he too can be dumb as shit. Um, but I just want to point out that given he is dumb as shit, and we have River the quick for a doctor uh song, I'm gonna say that it was probably just you both being a little stupid. River is usually very perceptive, except for when she isn't. Usually depends on what Moffat needs her to do that day. And I say Moffat because he's the only one who writes River, so depends on what he needs from her. No, not Bob. I genuinely didn't care. I cannot describe to you how little I cared when Bob died. I know I was supposed to. Maybe it was because I was taking notes, which means I was only half paying attention. I mean, I was paying attention. The whole point of taking notes is that I was paying attention, but I was doing this note when he died. So, like, maybe that's why. But I don't know. No, I don't pause while taking notes. I just write them while the episode is playing. Especially when I was on a time crunch, which I was for this episode, so. Oh, um, Octavian did make a great point when he said, when you get in your blue box and fly away, I'll tell it to their families. Yeah, no, he made a great point there. This is entirely the Doctor's fault for being stupid. So that Amy, like, is running with the rest of them, except for she doesn't, because her hand is stone, except for it isn't. And then the Doctor does this weird shit where he bites her. He bites her instead of just, like, pulling her hand. Why doesn't he just pull her hand? Why is... No, just bite her. Clearly that's the better option. I don't know what... Why? Why did he do that? Is this the mixed signals that she was talking about? We'll get to that. But I just... What do you mean? Oh, right. This is more stuff about River. Then he shoots the gravity ball, and that's the end of the episode. General thoughts on the first episode. I really like the twist of all the statues being angels. I think that this episode is hilarious. I really love this episode. I think it has a sufficient amount of drama. I think it has a lot of 11 River, which is good for me personally. Just overall, I think this entire thing's great. First part, A plus, A plus plus. I love this episode. Part 2. Don't mind the note there. Oh, River throughout both of these episodes is just very always looking out for Amy in a way that really should let you know that, you know, Amy is important to her. Or like they're gonna be seeing each other again. But you know, in retrospect, it's really easy to see that. But at the time, I get why people weren't just like, oh yeah, that's her mom. But that's her mom. That's her mom. She's always looking out for Amy. It's great. Oh, when he falls and then Amy's like, oh my god, he fell down a hole to his death. And then he's like, what? It's just a corridor. And he says it's so funny. Like, it was just delivery, but I just thought it was so silly. Um, they were talking about how to open the door, and River says how impossible after the doctor says impossible, and he says 2 minutes. And I just need to point out, God, they're so married. They're so married. Anyway. The doctor's amazing this episode. This is just because there were so many good lines that, like, I was too busy, like, laughing to take notes. There were so many good lines in this one scene in the corridor. Just great. Great, great, great. Matt, the doctor, the writing for the doctor, amazing this episode. Not a single moment where I was like, the doctor's written badly. You know, even in the ending, the doctor is written great. Front to back, everything about these two episodes. Doctor writing, off the charts. Amazing. Same for River, but I feel like I shouldn't need to say that, because River should always be well written, because she's written by the same person. And yet... Husbands of River Song is my favorite episode, so I want that noted before I say what I'm about to say. But River is so weirdly written in the Husbands of River Song, and, like, I try and justify it. I go out of my way to try and justify it by saying, oh, she was having a mental breakdown. She just lost her parents. Well, not just lost her parents, but, like, she lost her parents. She's spiraling. That's why she's acting so weirdly out of character. But I know in reality that isn't it. It's just that Moffat took a break from writing River and then just forgot how to write her. And it's so fucking obvious when you watch it. She just sounds like Jack. She sounds like Jack Harkness. It's weird. I don't like it. She's so needlessly stupid just so that the plot can work. I love the Husbands of River song. It is literally the only episode we get where it's just the Doctor and River with no companions in the way, with her parents not being there. All that stuff. I love that episode. Don't get me wrong. But God, does that part of it piss me off. Anyway, losing my head. Sorry, not sorry about what I said. But I'm losing my cool. Gonna take a deep breath. Calm down. You have so long before you need to talk about that. Anyway. This is the moment where River says, I absolutely trust him. And then he's like, he's not some sort of madman then. And then she's like, I absolutely trust him. God, this era is so funny. Why? Clearly, none of you people see Doctor Who as a comedy, but I do. And so this is the best. Oh, he once again brings up the whole, oh, if he knows that you killed him, he's not going to want to help us. Yes, he would. Especially now. Now he knows you're all in danger. Do you think he's going to let River die? You think he's going to, like, just say, fuck it, and let River die? If he knows that she killed him? Again, it's just, Octavian doesn't know the Doctor. But I do want to bring up the fact, and I brought it up in this note, but I want to bring it up more clearly here, is that River gets so upset about him, like, bringing this up. And I understand, like, that might just be more for the audience, so that we understand that it's a big deal that he doesn't know. But, like, what River knows about the Doctor, I don't think that she would believe that the Doctor would just, like, say, abandon them or stop helping because she killed him. I don't believe that she believes that. So, why does she get so upset? And, like, maybe it's because he keeps bringing up this thing that she didn't do. Because River didn't kill the Doctor. And she knows that. So, like, he keeps threatening her with something that she didn't do. And if he does tell the Doctor, and he does react badly, she can't give further context. So really, it's more about the fact that he's somewhat, like, dangling this information over her head. It's a thing she didn't do. And also, if it does somehow slip, she can't give further context, and that would fuck up their entire timeline, and that's getting more into my topic stuff, so we're not going to get into it. But I'm just saying that I think that River doesn't believe that the Doctor would stop helping just because of her killing him. because I think that she thinks better of him. But I do think that it's interesting that it's upsetting her anyway. That's all. I'm good with time. Have I mentioned he's great? He's great this episode. This episode's great minus the ending. We're not talking about the ending. Why is this note in here? I already decided we aren't talking about the ending until after my break. Where I have time to take a deep breath and hopefully not get triggered by the fact that I'm going to be talking about. We're not getting into it. Oh, the oxygen factory. River gets it before everyone else. That happens a lot, this episode, where River will get something before everyone else does. Because they're married, and also because she's smart. River's so smart and pretty and perfect, and she's the best character in this show. She explains the oxygen factory to Amy. I understand she's explaining it more for the audience, but the fact that she's explaining it to Amy, good daughter. Good daughter. I just wanted to point out Treeborg's, Ecopop. I love all the sci-fi terms. I need to come up with better sci-fi terms. The doctor looking into Amy's eyes. He notices her counting again and he freaks out and he looks into her eyes all scared. The doctor is so scared for Amy this episode. And at a certain point it turns into like 10 worrying about Rose levels of uncomfortable. But like at this point it's just really cute. I made him say comfy chairs. Now that's a Doctor Who line of all time. Anyway. That reminds me of, do you guys know the scene where Alex meets Mason in Wizards of Waverly Place, and then she's like, ha, I made you say kitty cats, because he has a British accent. That's what this reminded me of. Get a life, Bob. I just want to say that. I want to steal that for my life. Cutting to his hair in the 11th hour, where it looked somehow significantly better, despite him just having gotten out of a crashed spaceship. It still looks better than it does here. God. That is extremely very not good. I don't know if I got that quote exactly right, but it was, like, very close. And God, this show was so well written. So well written. Why did Moffat ever stop writing this show? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I respect him for respecting the show. I don't want him back. But I wouldn't. No buts. I have integrity. He has integrity. We don't want him back. We want someone new. We want fresh blood. That's what we want. We want fresh blood. We don't want Moffat back. No matter how good I think his era was, we don't want him back. What if he makes another Clara? Then we're all fucked, right? So, we don't want him back. Alright. I hate you. You don't. And then you... I hate you. No, you don't. That is their I love you too, by the way. I don't know if that's controversial. I doubt it, but that is their equivalent of love you too. The doctor has atrocious bedside manner. Every single line he says to Amy in the scene where she passes out on that log, well, not passes out, but like she's about to die on that log, every line he has is so awful. He's literally, she keeps saying stuff like, I'm dying, and then he's like, shut up, I'm busy. He's so mean to her. He's so bad at this. River's like, nothing, you're fine. And then he's like, everything, you're dying. And then she's like, doctor. And then he's like, yes, if we lie to her, then she'll get all better. You notice how I'm just quoting this episode? This because it's so fucking funny. It's so good. I love this episode, man. Why does the ending exist? I love this episode. This episode would get 1,000,000 gold stars. We're not talking about the ending right now. We're not talking about it. Anyway, there's something wrong with Amelia. I love how when he's panicking about the possibility of her dying, for half a second he starts saying Amelia. instead of Amy. I think that's sweet. That's his little girl. That's his little girl. That's wakey wakey and hitting his own head. The Doctor does stuff like that a lot in Moffat's writing. One of my favorite examples is when Ten is like, "My head's got too much stuff. I need a bigger head." That's one of my favorites. Um, he just loves having the Doctor realize something and then call himself stupid. It's one of his favorite things. Like, if you notice that my tracking just suddenly stops, I have my phone at an angle where if I like do anything, like itch my nose or something, when I'm looking this direction, it cuts off the tracking. So like if you notice that my tracking stops, it's because I'm just itching that side of my face. God forbid I have an itch on my nose, dude. God forbid, honestly. Anyway. Oh yeah, River not being able to freak out again when her mom almost died. Her mom, who isn't even her mom yet, by the way. By the way, if Amy died here, would River just stop existing? I think the Doctor would freak out. Amy dies, and then River just stops existing. So he's like just sitting there in this room full of clerics. And like none of the others are time travelers. They wouldn't even remember River existing. So how do they think the Doctor's here? So many questions. So many questions. Anyway. She calls Amy Hun in this scene, which I just think is cute. There's a plan. I don't know. I haven't finished talking. That quote describes my entire life. This is where the Doctor asks, "Are you too engaged or something?" Like all sarcastic and snarky. And then Octavian says yes, and you can just watch as like that spark leaves his eyes. Ugh. Oh, he's so jealous. I love the fact that the Doctor is jealous. I don't think jealousy. I don't really get jealousy personally. Like not in relationships at least. My mentality is if you're jealous about your anything involving your partner, don't be with that person. Cuz clearly you don't trust them. If there was something to be jealous of, you shouldn't be with them. What are we talking about? So like I don't get jealousy in that sense. But I think it's really funny and cute when it's done in media, you know? Because, fiction. It's funny in media. I have a similar relationship with like the overprotective dad trope. Real life, not cute. Fiction, I don't know, I think it's cute. Anyway. I always come back. He says that to Amy. If you didn't know, the Doctor's true name, William Afton. He always comes back. God, I'm such a nerd. Anyway. If I always told you the truth, I wouldn't need you to trust me. That I understand what he means. But God, their relationship is so fucked. Even if you take out all of the weird harassment stuff that happens this season, their entire relationship is so fucked. God, he ruined her life. But the little forehead kiss, that's his baby. That's his baby. Why? It's his baby. That's his little Amelia. That's his baby. Anyone who ships Amy and the Doctor, by the way, specifically because of this episode, but like in general, you're going to hell. You are going to the darkest pit of the underworld, and I hope you know that. You are going to Hades, to the underworld. You are instant death, instant damnation. Is damnation a curse word? I'm trying to curse a little less because, fun fact, if you curse in YouTube shorts that are under a minute, killed. Killed by the algorithm. I can't snap. If you're wondering what those sounds were, it was me trying to snap. I can't do it. I posted 2 shorts with swearing. Both of them after days, still under 100 views. So I need to curse less, or at least I need to curse less when I'm making jokes. Anyway, my point is, if you ship Amy and the Doctor, you aren't going to heaven. You aren't going to heaven. That's his baby. That's his little Amelia. He never, ever, 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 for even a moment, saw her that way. Literally, it's so obvious to me. But whatever. Sure. Have the person who literally never stopped seeing her as a 6-year-old make them kiss. That's not problematic. I'm not even someone who subscribes to the whole, oh, he groomed Amy thing. I just think that it's gross because he clearly doesn't see her as an adult. He doesn't see her as an equal. But whatever. His wife is right there and they have a ton of cute scenes this episode. But whatever. Anyway. The second that Octavian says they aren't engaged that way, the Doctor suddenly starts, smiling. Obviously, it's more for the fact that she was called out. I understand what the intention was, but also the second that he hears that she's a prisoner and not married, he gets so happy. And I think that's so funny. Anyway. Jealous bitch. Jealous bitch. Why is the Doctor a jealous bitch? I love him so much. This was a big cut ahead. The Octavian, River, and the Doctor actually get to the, what was it called? I forget what it was called. The place they need to be. They're standing in front of it. Octavian's trying the door, and the Doctor is trying to figure out the crack. And River's holding a gun, and she starts talking, and she says, time is running out. And the Doctor's like, what did you just say? Time's running out? And then she's like, yes. And then she's like, I just meant, and then he's like, I know what you meant, hush. And then, she gives him such side-eye. And he was being such a jerk. Why was he being I know why he was being such a jerk. He was panicking. The Doctor in the last half of this episode is panicking in the exact same way Ten panics, which is just to get angrier and bitchier consistently until I want to stop watching. Or more accurately, I want to stop watching until someone decks him. But unfortunately, no one ever does. And they should. Actually, no. One time he was decked. And that was by Rory. And that's because Rory is a king. Anyway. Alright, this is where all the soldiers, one by one, walk into the thing that they literally asked if it was a fire. They were like, oh, is that a fire? No, it can't be. The angels are running away from it. Oh, I know what we should do. Let's go walk into it. That sounds like a great plan. These people deserved to die. This is natural selection. They shouldn't have even been on this operation. They had the mentality of a 3rd grader. They deserved death. I'm sorry, Amy. Also, terrible protectors. Oh, the scene where Amy looks into the crack. God, Karen did a great job. I don't give her enough credit. Karen did a great job. I don't give her enough credit, mainly just because I don't think Amy, I had my stuff about Amy earlier. But this scene, amazing. She did amazing. She's done amazing this entire episode. So far. It's not an acting problem later. It's not an acting problem later. That's purely a writing problem. Alright. Him doing the math in his head, he literally is, doing, hand signals, and I think that's so funny. He's so silly. Octavian gets caught by the angel. He should have left him. He should have left him there. He should have. Oh, you can't trust her. Octavian's like, oh, you can't trust her while he's in the angel's grip, and then he's like, you think you know her, but you don't. But he doesn't. That's my thing. He doesn't. He's met her a few times. Yes, someone pointed this out to me when I said he doesn't know her. Yes, he has met her a few times, but he doesn't know her, and he openly acknowledges that. In fact, that's the entire thing about next season. He keeps asking her, "Who are you?" Through half the season. He doesn't know who she is. This is just more proof that Octavian knows nothing about the Doctor and nothing about their relationship. And yet he keeps trying to dangle this shit over her head. Why is he talking shit when he doesn't know anything? Here's my thing. If the future Doctor, her husband, knew that you were doing this shit, he would come over here and punch you. Like, what are we talking about? But whatever. Matt Smith does this thing. It's not just a thing in this episode. It's just a thing that he does in, I think, every role that I've seen him in so far. Where, like, he does this thing where, like, he has a lot of control over his lower jaw, and he'll just, like, wiggle it around. And it's really weird. And it's not an insult, it's just more of a thing I noticed. Because I keep watching him and things, because I really like him and I think he's a good actor. It's just a weird thing that I noticed he does. Yeah, the Doctor's being a bitch. The Doctor's being the worst. I know he's panicking. I know he has reasons to be yelling. I understand that. But God, he's the worst. This is why I don't like 10, by the way. Yes. Does he freak out for reasons? Sure. Freaking out for reasons does not justify it. Just because you have a reason to freak out doesn't mean you have to be a jerk to everyone around you. And that's, oh my God, his 10 was showing so bad. So badly. Not as bad as last episode, because last episode he didn't even have a reason. He was just being stupid. This episode he had a reason. I understand how we got here. That doesn't make it better. It pissed me off. Oh, when he says, "Like me for it," like he's yelling. He's like, "Like me for instance." But here's my thing. River is more complicated than the Doctor. Like, the Doctor jumps around all time and space, sure. But he does it in a much more linear fashion than River does. River's entire existence is a bootstrap paradox. It has multiple bootstrap paradoxes. Melody would not exist without River, and River would not exist without Melody. And neither of them would exist if she hadn't saved her mother multiple times. And none, like, it's so many complex elements. I honestly think that she would have been the same, if not better, than the Doctor in terms of shutting the crack up. Because she is more complicated. Just because she's been around for less time doesn't mean she's less complicated. Because I would argue she's way more of a timey-wimey mess than the Doctor is. The Doctor just travels through time. Anyone can do that. Like, there's barely any instances where his entire life is driven by bootstrap paradox, at least up to this point. Later on, it gets a lot more complicated. But up to this point, practically nothing is driven by bootstrap paradoxes. Like, I think a few episodes in Classic. But, like, this is insanity. River's life is insanity. I think that the Doctor's wrong. Not that he knows he's wrong. Like, it's unfair to, like, judge him for not knowing that he's wrong. But he is wrong. Oh, this is where I noticed Amy's outfit when she's, like, walking through the forest. I noticed her outfit and I was like, God, fashion disaster. Who styled her today? Seeing the angels move, dumb. That's it. Everyone's talked about it to death. The angels moving was dumb. They shouldn't have done it. Moving on. Oh, River gets to teleport working. And the Doctor's like, River Song, I could bloody kiss you. And then she's like, maybe when you're older. And I'm like, no, not when he's older. Kiss him now. Why not? He said he wanted to kiss you. That's more than certain other people have gotten in this episode. Kiss him now. Anyway. This is just me saying that I still believe it. I think that River would have been complicated enough for the crack to shut up. I do believe this. You won't get me to stop believing it. You're a time traveler now, but she forgets Rory when he goes in the crack. I don't remember if there's a reason given for why she forgets Rory, but she remembered all these people. Is it just because she kept thinking about them as it happened, or what? I don't know. Maybe they explain it in the episode. To be fair, I haven't watched, believe it or not, as someone who's not the biggest Chibnall fan, I've not really rewatched the Hungry Earth two-parter in a while. In fact, that is probably the two-parter episodes of season 5 I've rewatched the least. So maybe they explain it in the episode, and I just forgot. Totally possible. In fact, I would even say likely. I'm just curious. They get out, and as he's walking over to River to have their whole line about, like, oh, me, you, handcuffs, and all that, you can see, like, Matt fixing his hair as he goes over. And, like, I don't care if that wasn't intentionally meant to be him flirting. Like, him doing his little preparations, which we see he does later as an adult. I think this is the first instance adult. Like, he's a child. The Doctor isn't a child. I'm just saying, he's like, oh, checks. I forget what he says. I forget the exact wording he uses in Manhattan, but it's like, final checks is what he says. And then Amy's like, since when? And then I think this is the when. I think this is when it started, because he fixes his hair, tucks it behind his ear right before he goes up to River and gets all up in her personal space. He does it so much in this episode. Man does not know what a personal bubble is. Neither does Amy. We're getting closer to the end. You can tell we're getting closer to the end because it keeps coming up in my mind. The demons. They're back. They start talking about the person River killed, and then the Doctor goes, who? And then I was like, I don't know, Doctor. Who? I'm a comedian. Can you tell that I grew up on Undertale? Bad jokes, man. Bad jokes. Love them. He did not need to whisper in her ear or bite his lip. He didn't need to do either of those things. People who say that these two have no chemistry. Where? I need to understand. Because here's my thing. I can handle people having different opinions from me when it comes to shipping. I can. There are plenty of people who have different opinions from me. That's not the problem. My problem is when you hate a ship that I love, at least you gotta give me a reason. And just saying they have no chemistry when scenes like this exist, you gotta be more specific. What do we mean? What are we talking about? Whatever. Oh, Amy asks him after River leaves, what are you thinking? And he says, I'm thinking that time can be rewritten. I'm just like, I wonder what that's implying. Because, like, it's right after River left. And it's definitely not implying that he doesn't want to be around her anymore. Because that would be stupid after that entire scene of them basically flirting. So, I think it's literally just my thing of, like, he feels so guilty about letting her die. He wants to save her. God. And it makes it so much... Would you mind me going off topic for a minute? It makes it so much better. This one line is made so much better by the interview that Moffat recently did, where he starts talking about the ending. No, he starts talking about, like, the whole thing where it's like, oh, what if we do this to save River from the library? What if we do this? And then Moffat starts talking about the library a little bit, like library fix-its. And he's like, there's a million ways you could do it, which we know. We've read the fanfics. We know, Moffat. There's a million different ways you could do it. We also, unfortunately, listen to Big Finish. I already talked about my opinions on Big Finish. So, like, we know. But I think that what he says about, like, would River want it? I don't think she would. Because life is defined by, like, having an ending. But what he says after that, I think, is a lot more interesting, which is he's like, but the Doctor will never accept that. To him, you can always outrun the sunset. I literally started writing a song for a little bit just based on that line. Because I think the idea of a library fix-it AU where the Doctor, against River's will, brings her back to life. Like, he knows how she feels about it, and he brings her back anyway. in a like Time Lord Victoria style thing. And like the entire thing, like the entire fic would be about how they are supposed to move past that, if they ever can move past it. I don't know how that fic would end, if it would end with River dying again, or her accepting this or forgiving him. I don't know. I don't know how that fic would end. I just know that I really like the concept. Anyway, but I just think that this line is made so much better with that context of Moffat truly believing that the Doctor can never, ever accept that River's actually dead forever. I just, that makes it so much better. And then I said, oh no, the ending. Which is why we are going to stop here for a second. Alright, wrapped up my tracking again. It's fine. Who cares? Alright. Ooh, cracked my neck. Alright. We are on a break for a minute. Some good ASMR. I have soda. Oh shit, I forgot to... Alright. Sorry, I realized I forgot to put my retainer back in. Yes, I have a retainer. It's like an Invisalign one. I don't think it affects how I talk very much, but now that I'm recording myself, I'm very aware of it. So that's fun. Alright. While we're on break, let's talk about something nice. Let's talk about something fun. I'm gonna talk about work. I got peed on today. I work with dogs. It happens. Upsetting. Sometimes it happens, though. A lot of people say that they love dogs. What they really mean is they love their dog and they like all the rest. Because you have to love dogs a hell of a lot to allow someone else's dog to pee on you and then just move on with your day. I don't think there's a lot of people. It's like how teachers feel about kids. I could never be a teacher. I like kids. They're fun. But I could never be a teacher. Because I don't love kids. I like them. And that's okay. We don't need to love kids. We don't need to love animals. You can just like things. I don't know. But I love dogs. I really do. I can't wait for October, man. I'm gonna get my own dog. I mean, I have a dog. Her name's Agatha. Agatha. After Agatha Christie. I fucking love her. I didn't name her. We assume it's after Agatha Christie. Cause the shelter named her. But I love her. But she's not my dog. She's my family dog. I'm gonna get a dog. I'm so psyched for it. Gonna go to the animal shelter. One of them. Obviously, I'm gonna look online first. This isn't just a thing where I'm gonna walk into a shelter and be like, "Bring me a dog." That doesn't even work because you need to bring all the people in your house. So what I would really be doing in that situation is taking everyone from my house, including Agatha, and being like, "Bring me a dog." Which wouldn't work. That's not how you adopt a dog. Yeah, so I'm looking online. I'm doing a ton of looking into different shelters and all that. I shouldn't be doing it this early because that means I'm gonna land up doing something stupid like getting attached to a dog. Then that dog gets adopted, and I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. So I shouldn't be doing it this early, but I am. I keep looking on the websites. There's this dog that I keep looking at, and it has the best dead-eyed stare. I love a dog with a good dead-eyed stare. My dog doesn't have a dead-eyed stare. She is very emotive with her eyes. Like, it's very rare that I will have her give a face where I'm like, I can't tell exactly what you're thinking. Most of the time, I can tell exactly what she's thinking. And usually it's either sad, confused, or, oh my god, please get away from me. I just want to sleep. Because I'm mean and I bother her while she's sleeping. That's not true. She also can get very happy when she's biting my dad. It's her favorite thing. She loves it. To be fair, he starts it. He starts it every single time. Um, my dog has the saddest eyes though. She's not even sad most of the time. I swear, she just has the saddest eyes. She'd be perfect for one of those SPCA commercials where you just like in the arms, those commercials. Just put her in black and white. She's perfect for them. Um, but I feel like we've had a decent break, but I don't want to get into it yet. Because getting into it means that we're going to need to actually have to talk about some really heavy topics that I don't like talking about. I don't like talking about this stuff. Yeah, how instead we talk for a little bit about, uh, let's ease into it. Let's talk about something equally as gross, but, different flavors. This one will gross me out a little bit less just because, I don't know, it's in the abstract. I'm not going to be talking about specifics. Who watches House of the Dragons? Me. I watch House of the Dragons. People, I watch House of the Dragons specifically for Matt Smith. That's why I started watching it. People say Daemon only groomed Rhaenyra because he wanted power. He wanted the throne. And those people are wrong. The reason that Daemon groomed Rhaenyra is because he didn't have a sister. That's the reason. If you actually look at Daemon, all of his love interests, not in the show, but in the books canon, all of his love interests look like they could pass for his sister. That's just what he's into. You know why he's into that? One, Targaryen supremacy. He's very, very much a Targaryen supremacist. But beyond that, there's also the fact that, his parents were siblings, his grandparents were siblings. If I'm not mistaken, I think also his great grandparents, but that might be wrong. I think they might have been cousins or something. But the point is, yeah, Daemon didn't groom Rhaenyra because of power. I'm sure that was a perk, but I think he groomed Rhaenyra because she was a Targaryen princess, and that's what he was into. It's gross. It's gross. But people always say, oh, it's for power. Honestly, I think you're kind of sanitizing him a little bit. Daemon didn't groom his niece because he wanted power. He groomed his niece because he's a fucking freak, dude. He groomed his niece not for power. He didn't do it for power. He did it because he's a freak, man. And I feel like we need to talk about it more. Because that's the reason. But no. No, we just say it was for power. I don't know. And funny thing is, it's mostly Daemon's, haters who say he did it for power. Like, do you think it's better that he did it for, romantic reasons? Do you think that makes him look better? That he groomed his niece because he was actually into her? Because I think that makes him worse, honestly. I think that makes him a lot worse, in fact. I'd rather he have just have done it for power. At least then it's justifiable in a sense. People manipulate people for power all the time. That's all Otto did. He just manipulated someone for power. That one's at least I can understand the reasoning behind it. The other one, you're just a freak. You're a freak, man. Uh, I just don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. See, that was gross. It should be really easy to transition now. But it's not. It's not. It's so uncomfortable. I didn't even write enough notes to make this easier on myself because the entire time I literally at one point covered my face. I was recoiling from the screen. let's get into this. All right. So we get back to Amy's room for the first time. She's like, Doctor, I want to go home so I can show you something. You're running from River. This is what I'm running from. And he sees her wedding dress and everything, and he's like, wow, that's nuts. And she's like, yep, I'm getting married in the morning. And she shows off her engagement ring, and he's like, why'd you leave it here? And I'm like, he really, not for a minute, not for half a second did he ever consider. Anyway, she puts the ring down after saying, like, why would I do that? All sarcastically. Because she, for some reason, despite his blatant, complete unawareness, like, he's not even being subtle about how unaware he is to what she's talking about. Despite that, she keeps thinking that, I don't know, maybe he's playing coy or something. Because she's like, oh, I wonder why I left it here when the strange man took me away from my house on my wedding night. Anyway. Then she proceeds to get really weird. And all I could write was, God, Amy, stop, as the scene continues. And he's like, who are you getting married to, the attractive one or the other one? And he makes a gesture that, according to something I heard, Matt Smith might have improvised him doing, like, the nose gesture because he was friends with Arthur already. I think that would be funny if it's true. But I don't know if it is, so I'm not gonna say it's a fact. It's just something I heard. And Amy's like, the other one. And then the doctor's like, oh, well, he was good too. And then she's like, thanks. And the scene could end here. It could end here. We don't need to keep going. It could end here. But it doesn't. Amy then says, like, oh, I was dying in the dark alone and it made me think about what I want. And the doctor's like, yeah, I think a lot too. Because he's an idiot. He's my idiot. I love him so much. But he's like, yeah, I think sometimes too. Fairly often. Incredibly often. Like, he's like, I'm so smart. I think all the time. And then Amy keeps going. And she's like, no, I mean, I think about what I wanted, you know? And then he's like, yeah, no. What are we talking about? And Amy's keeps pushing it, and he's still confused. And then Amy goes, in one word, even you will understand. And that's when she tries to kiss him. Notably, she doesn't kiss him yet, but she does try to. And the doctor's response is to immediately jump away and push her back. And that should have been where the scene ends in terms of problematic shit. That should have been the end of it. I've seen so many pieces of media where that's the end of it. There are so many kisses in media where it's like one character leans in for the kiss and the other character goes, whoa, what are you doing? And I wouldn't call any of those instances bad. That's perfectly fine. I wouldn't even be mad about it for the fact that Amy did it. I understand there's so many people online who defend Amy for this. And here's my thing. I do not blame Amy for the initial attempt at kiss. I don't blame her for that. I don't blame her for the initial incident. But she doesn't stop there. That's the problem. The problem is that she doesn't stop after trying to kiss him and then he freaks out and pushes her away. She keeps going. And she tries to take his clothes off and he keeps pushing her away and keeps trying to stop her. And eventually, after he continues to say, no, stop, everything, he explains why, he's just, get away from me, this could never work, I don't want this. And then she pushes him against the TARDIS and assaults him. She kisses him, and the only justification I even think you could try and make for this scene is the fact that for half a second, the doctor did kiss her back. For half a second he did. And I had to rewind it just to double check because initially I was like, did he? Am I just seeing it? No, for half a second he did. He hesitated and he kissed her back. And that is the only justification I can even imagine you making for Amy. And my response to that defense would be, I know what Moffat's intentions were with this scene. I know what it was. I know what he intended this scene to be. But that's not how it comes across. That is not how the Doctor is portrayed later or earlier in the season. That's not even how the Doctor was portrayed 5 seconds ago. The Doctor is not interested in Amy. It's just a fact. He isn't. And I know that Moffat was trying to make it to where he hesitates. And, like, maybe considers it. I know that's what Moffat's intentions were. I'm not stupid. I understand that's probably what he meant. But it just doesn't make sense. And not because I don't want it to make sense, but it literally just doesn't make sense. With anything we see, both here, later, earlier, no matter what angle you look at it, this doesn't make sense. So the only reason that it could make sense, canonically, would be possible shock. Because there are plenty of people who, you know, during moments like this, have different reactions. And they make different choices. Because there's no right reaction to being assaulted. I think that it would be crazy to try and justify what Amy did because for half a second the Doctor kissed her back. But that is the only defense that Amy fans would have. And it just... it's deeply disturbing. This entire thing is deeply disturbing to me personally. I would even go as far as to call this scene, like, slightly triggering. Definitely not the most, like, triggering piece of assault media I've seen. Definitely not. But I am actively disgusted whenever I have to rewatch the scene for any other reason. Whether it's just for something like this, whether it's because I rewatched it with my family. You know, I rewatched it with my mom when I wanted to show her the series. I rewatched it with my brother just because we were doing a watch through season 5. So I've had to rewatch the scene a couple times, and it's disturbing. It's disturbing to watch. I don't like it. It actively grosses me out. And this scene will hang over Amy's head forever. Not just throughout this season. It is something that I will always have to bring up whenever I talk about her as a character. Because I do like Amy. I like Amy as a character. But this scene is such a mark on her. Because you just can't avoid it. You can't not talk about it. Because it's so atrociously awful. It is so bad. And I don't know how someone wrote it and didn't realize how it came across. That is male privilege, for the record. That, not even male privilege, because this is about a male victim. I mean, male privilege in the sense of you think that women can't assault men, which we're not getting into that, but that is the only reason why a scene like this would be funny to anyone, is because you believe that women can't assault men, which is not true. But, so there's that. When people say Moffat's sexist, this should be the scene they point to, not fucking River. When people say Moffat's sexist, they shouldn't point to, oh, he makes jokes about River having boobs. They should point to scenes like this. Scenes where women do unspeakable crimes. And by unspeakable, I mean things that would have you censored. in multiple different places. Things that shouldn't even be on family shows, quite frankly, without being subtext or being handled better than this. What is this? That is such blindness. That you wrote this. You wrote this, and you wrote Meanwhile in the TARDIS too, which, by the way, we're talking about that as well. Because we're just getting it all out at once. This and Meanwhile in the TARDIS too. You wrote both of those scenes, and not once. You wrote them. You handed out the scripts. You did a table read. You did everything. You shot them. You directed them. You put the music. All that shit. You did all of these things. And at no point in time did anyone think to say, hey guys, does anyone think this might come across wrong? No one on the writer's room, on set, no one? You just got through an era where the first season had 3 separate sex pests on it. Is that a bit unfair to call John Barrowman? He's a weirdo. I don't know if I would go as far as sex pest, but he's a weirdo. My point is, your first season of this show had 3 people who were inappropriate sexually. And then you made this. And I don't understand how this happened. I don't understand how this happened. Meanwhile in the TARDIS too. So this immediately starts with Amy trying to continue what she was doing before, and the Doctor stopping her and looking so visibly uncomfortable. And I just need to point out the fact, hey, who scored this? Who scored this? Was it Murray? I didn't look at the credits. Who scored this short? Because that person needs to be in jail. This short has the most obnoxious comedy music. People have said before that, like, oh, I don't like Murray Gold's, like, oh, haha, it's time to laugh now music. Because he does have music like that. Mainly they pointed out scenes in Husbands of River Song where there's, like, multiple scenes where they just add the comedy music because, oh, it's laugh time now. And I'd never noticed it before. Like, as being, like, a bad thing. Like, I knew it existed, but, like, I never really thought, like, oh, this is something that's make or break. In this fucking short, it is the most disturbingly obnoxious sound. Because it's just like, oh, haha, Amy has made the Doctor visibly uncomfortable. It's so funny. No. No, it isn't. Anyway, Amy gets annoyed by the Doctor being visibly uncomfortable and continuing to refuse her advances. And so she gets pissed and immediately jumps into trying to gaslight him. In which she says that he was sending a bunch of signals by picking her up on her wedding night and taking her away while she was in her nightgown, and then not letting her take the nightgown off. She also says showing her his time machine. So showing the time machine, he said that he wanted to show it to you as a child too. So unless you're saying that he was flirting with you as a child, in which case maybe we should re-look into those grooming allegations. Then no. Him picking you up on your wedding night was a coincidence. And what's funny is you know for a fact it's a coincidence because he didn't know until you told him like 10 minutes ago. 2, you were in your nightgown. Once again, that was a coincidence. Do you think he came in the middle of the night on purpose? And that he came specifically on a night where you were wearing a nightgown? I don't even understand the logic behind that one. Didn't let you take it off. That's just not even true. When did he ever say you couldn't take your nightgown off? Literally, there's one line where Amy mentioned the fact that she wanted to change. And that was when she fired off a million questions at him when he said go after Mandy. He said, Amy, go after Mandy. And then she says a million different things. And then the doctor's like, it's either this or you go home to Ledworth. Which, for the record, if you had just said, okay, fine, I'll go after Mandy, let me change first, I feel like he would have just let you. I feel like this is a situation where he would have been like, oh, no, you're not allowed to change. If he had done something like that, then sure, maybe. Then we can argue he didn't let you change. He never said that, girl. When you first came into the TARDIS and mentioned that you were in your nightgown, his response is, I'm sure we'll find the wardrobe. There's clothes in there. You always knew he was going to let you change. So that's just a lie. So we have you showed me your time machine, which he clearly was willing to do when you were a child. So unless you think he was flirting with you as a child, bullshit. Him showing up on your wedding night and you being in your nightgown, 2 coincidences. So bullshit. And then one thing that's just bullshit. It's just a lie. I don't know what Amy's talking about even. It's just wrong. So she's just gaslighting him. She's claiming he gave mixed signals, and she can't even name anything as mixed signals, because she just is making shit up. But whatever. Sure, he sent you mixed signals. Alright. Then she keeps insisting that he's a bloke. In other words, saying, he's a man, therefore he wants to sleep with her. What if he was gay? What if he's only interested in other aliens? He's not even human. Amy, you don't know what he's interested in? Just a bloke. It's so... Not only is it sexist, it's stupid. Whatever. I mean, sexist and stupid are synonyms, but I'm just... Also, even if he was just a bloke, whatever that means, that doesn't mean he wants to sleep with you. And here's my thing. Even if he had slept with every single other female companion he's had, which he hasn't, by the way, but let's just say that he did for the sake of this argument. Let's just say he slept with every single one of them. That still doesn't mean he has to want to sleep with you. That still doesn't mean he wants to sleep with you. I know it's shocking for you, Amy, that, like, there's a person in the world who isn't attracted to you, but the doctor doesn't want to have to sleep with you. He doesn't have to want to sleep with you. It's so insane to me that this is her argument. How did this air? How is this a special feature on my DVD? What's special about it? The fact that it was able to get out of a writer's room without all of those writers going to jail afterwards? What the hell do you mean? What's special about this? I'm so angry. I'm so angry that this exists. Anyway, him making fun of Rory so aggressively, like, he literally laughs at her mentioning Rory. And, like, here's my thing. Him laughing at her mentioning Rory, that's not really an issue. It's the fact that, like, he's so aggressive about it. Like, and that's weird, right? Like, he wasn't like that about Rory before. Not even in the last scene we watched was he like that about Rory. Whatever. Anyway, she proceeds to try and kiss him again, and he has to push her away again. You know, proving that she's definitely learned a lot. Why is she still on this TARDIS? I know the reason. It's because he loves her. That's his little girl right there. And he will somehow not even think about this as assault, even though it was, because the writers don't think it was assault, because Amy's a woman. So, you know. But that's his little girl. Of course he's not going to kick her off the TARDIS, even if she did assault him. Even if he did understand that that's what that was, he wouldn't kick her off the TARDIS because that's his little girl. But I'm just saying. There's a really good speech in this short where he essentially explains why he has companions. And it's like, you can see it when you've made all of time and space, your backyard, it's just a backyard, which is a really good line. Why is it in this? Why is it in this? Then Amy starts asking questions about his other companions, asking if they were girls, and the doctor feels the need to justify himself because he knows that Amy will try and twist it if he says that he travels mostly with women, which, is definitely normal and good and not concerning at all. Definitely not a thing that people feel the need to do when being pressured sexually. Definitely not a thing that plenty of women could tell you they need to do constantly whenever fucking asshole dudes approach them like this. But whatever. It doesn't matter because she's a woman. Ooh. Look, I don't think that Moffat is as aggressively sexist as people say. But sometimes I think about this and I doubt myself. Because this is so incredibly bad that I don't care that everyone makes fun of him for being sexist for bullshit reasons. Because he should be called sexist, because this is awful. Oh, also, for the record, I don't know most of the companions shown in that little slideshow that happens really fast. Because I haven't watched through a lot of Classic yet. But I'm telling you one thing. The second I get through Classic, and I know who all of those companions are, I'm going to come back to this scene. And I am going to figure out just how gross I should feel about it. Because if a lot of those characters turn out to be characters that the Doctor was clearly parental towards, or clearly had a fatherly relationship, parental towards fatherly relationship. My point is, if all of these are so blatantly unromantic that it's genuinely gross that Amy would even suggest it, and it's already gross because even if he did want to sleep with these women, it doesn't justify it, then I am going to lose my shit again on stream. And that's a promise. Also, here's my question. Here's a question. Why is the TARDIS going along with this? Why is the TARDIS helping Amy in her making fun of the Doctor for having boundaries? Why is she doing that? And I asked that question, and then halfway through asking it, I realized, actually, no, wait a minute, the Doctor got assaulted by the TARDIS too. She also kissed him without asking, and then bit him. So, yeah, no, I don't think I want the answer to that question, actually. Never mind. The TARDIS, just agreed with Amy for completely normal reasons, and definitely not because she also has weird relationship with consent. So we're done. We're done with that. All that being said, what is my overall assessment on the Time of Angels two-parter? I fucking loved it until the ending. And unfortunately, the ending I would give such a low grade that I think it drags the entire two-parter down. Because I love it. I love it so much. And if it wasn't for that ending, A+. Amazing two-parter. Probably one of my favorite parts of this season, minus the finale. Because I love that finale too. 11th hour, this two-parter, the finale. All amazing. Except for this ending. And I think that this ending, honestly, I think it brings it as far down as like B-. Maybe even a C+. I hate this ending. I hate this ending. I hate Meanwhile in the TARDIS too. I think it is so fucking disgusting. It is so fucking gross. And I cannot believe that it aired. How did this air? How did it get that far? I didn't talk about this for as long as I expected to. I don't know whether I should be proud of myself for not ranting about it for the rest of the stream, or disappointed because the stream will not be as filled as I expected it to be. Anyway, Next up on our docket is another break, because I need a minute to cool down. Alright. Sorry, I had to adjust some stuff. I need to stop itching that side of my face. I love Moffat era Who. I really do. But this one aspect of it kinda drags the entire season of this era down. Because, again, Amy doesn't recover from this. She never recovers from this. Whenever I talk about her character, I have to add the asterisks. And that's so upsetting. Because I love Amy. I love so many of Moffat's characters. Not all of them. I hate Clara with a burning passion, but I love so many of Moffat's characters. I love the 11th Doctor. I love Rory. I love Jack, even if his actor's weird. I love River. And it's just... He wrote my favorite character in the show. He wrote all of my favorite episodes. He wrote the best Doctor Who love story, if you don't count The Master. And yet it's things like this where I just... When people say they hate Moffat, they usually come up with reasons like, oh, his stuff's complicated or nonsensical or yada yada. I think that you should hate Moffat for this. If you're gonna hate Moffat for any writing choice, have it be the fact that he had his primary companion for the 11th Doctor, the companion whose entire relationship was established to be like a little sister / child to him. And he decided to write a scene where she assaults him. And then wrote an additional scene as a special feature on the DVD, where she then gaslights him and disrespects him for having boundaries. That's what you should hate Moffat for. That's what should make you angry. But you know, the internet's gonna be the internet. The internet's full of misogynists too. So I don't know why I'm expecting anything better from them. Alright. Actually, no. I need to have a drink real fast. Here's some more. Yeah, actually, before I get into Classic Who, how about I just... Hold on. Alright. Okay. Let's get into Classic. So, we cut back to, for those who missed last stream and don't know the first episode of Classic Who, that's available on Tubi. I'm not talking about the first actual episode. I'm talking about the first episode that's available on Tubi. We landed on a planet. It's Skaro. They don't know that yet. There was radiation on the planet. They also don't know that yet. Well, they know it by halfway through this episode, I think. Or, like, not even halfway through. Like, barely in it. We know by this episode. But in the first episode, they don't know it. They kind of wander around the woods. They see the city. The doctor's like, I want to go there. And the others are like, I don't. And then we go back to the ship. They argue. Yada yada. Susan got touched on the arm by some guy. But they don't know that. They don't believe her. It's fine. The doctor sabotages his own ship, but pretends he doesn't, and says, oh, we need to go to the city to get Mercury. And they go to the city, they all split up. Barbara gets captured by Daleks, but they don't know that yet. Alright? And we cut back. Oh, by the way, the doctor's sick because of radiation poisoning, but they don't know that yet. Yada yada. You notice a lot of this is just, like, set up? That's because all it was set up. Anyway. So Ian's looking for Barbara, and he keeps on saying her name, and she keeps not answering. And I think that's cute, him showing the most concern. I think it's cute. They go into this room, and they see, like, these, like, they say ink. And, like, there's all these, like, written things. And I'm like, do the Daleks have written records? What do you mean they're using ink? Ink that needs to dry for their written records. The Daleks write things? Why? How? What? Anyway. They find out about the radiation poisoning shit, and I just want to point out the fact that, like, they were back on the TARDIS, and they didn't notice. They didn't ever look at the radiation dial. It was, like, right there on the TARDIS, and no one even, like, glanced at it on accident, even? Whatever. Oh, here's the section I was talking about. I think that it's funny, the fact that the Doctor, in the episode I just watched, walks out of the TARDIS and immediately is able to say all these, like, billion things about the planet. And I think it's kind of interesting that the first Doctor, like, had to actually do environment checks and check for radiation, because the 11th Doctor wouldn't need to do that, because he has that experience. And I think that's so cool. I think it's so cool that I happened to just watch these two episodes. Anyway, the Doctor reveals that he actually sabotaged the TARDIS, and Susan gets so upset. And it's, like, really well acted. And I felt so bad for her. And then the Doctor suggests they take the part back to the TARDIS and just leave Barbara to die. Like, Ian's like, we need to find Barbara before we go back. And then he's like, oh, fuck Barbara, let's leave. And I'm like, what? We're just gonna leave her to die? And then Ian's like, you are not doing that. And I'm like, I'm with Ian, what do you mean? He's the best. I love him. Then they walk out of this room, and there's, like, a bunch of Daleks. And I'm like, oh no, not the Dalek. I'm not scared of Daleks. They're so silly. How can you be scared of them? Anyway, they then shoot Ian. And when I first watched this episode, I was like, oh my god, Ian's dead. And then it's just revealed that they paralyzed his legs. I didn't even know Daleks could do that. You're telling me those lasers aim? Whenever they hit anybody, it just, like, surrounds them in, like, this aura, shows their skeleton, and insta-kills them in the new show. I didn't even know that there was an option for them to do non-lethal attacks. How very un-Dalek of them. Anyway, they are sent to this holding cell. Barbara's in there, and they're all like, oh my god, Barbara, yay! Well, Ian's like, oh my god, Barbara, yay. The Doctor doesn't care. To be fair, he's busy, like, halfway dying, so. Anyway, so they're all carrying Ian in, and he's like, oh my god, Barbara, you're okay. And Barbara's like, oh my god, they captured me. And then Ian asks her for information. And at some point, Barbara asks, like, are they even robots? And Susan, like, laughs at her. And I'm like, what the... Didn't we just go over last episode how there are creatures that aren't just flesh and bone? how there can be creatures of like stone and stuff. You're telling me you can't see the Daleks as being organic? They have to be robot. To be fair, they are organic, technically, inside of their robot shells. And also, okay, so this doesn't happen this episode. This happens way later in the story. Ian gets in a Dalek, but not in the way Clara does, like all hooked up to machines. Like he gets inside like a normal Dalek, like it was functioning a minute ago. So like, where's the little alien thing? What do you mean he just gets in it? What? I understand that I'm judging it from opposite directions. What I should be saying is, what do you mean there's a little alien in it? Ian just got inside it. So really I should be questioning it the other way. But as someone who came from New Who watching this, I was like, what do you mean Ian can just get in it? That thing was alive a second ago. Are you telling me the little mutant alien thing's still in there? And just, is it knocked out? I don't know. I have so many questions. Anyway, Susan straight up laughs at her. And I just think that that's funny. The doctor gets radiation sickness, like really bad. And I think that that's weird. I mean, once again, I'm judging this as someone who watched New Who first, and I shouldn't be. I should be saying the other way around. Like, why is 10 resistant to radiation if 1 almost died from it in his second story? That's what I should be saying. But instead, what I'm going to say is, so is it because 1 let his body get too old? Does that mean that if 11 at the end of his time in Christmas had been exposed to intense amounts of radiation, he would have like gotten radiation sickness? I mean, when you think about it, Susan is a Time Lord and like super young, and she's barely affected by the radiation stuff. So like, I think it might just be that. I think it might just be because he's old. And I know the actual answer is that Russell Davies didn't care about lore. What? It's a shock. You're telling me Russell, our main man, Russell didn't care about lore? What? Oh man, I hope that sure isn't a sign of what's to come in the future. I sure hope that 10th era little fun little mistake that he made isn't a sign of anything to come later. But you know. Anyway, the Daleks take out the Doctor because they're looking for the Thals because they think the Thals have a like radiation resistant drug, and they think these guys are Thals. I guess. Anyway, so they're like, Doctor. No, they don't say doctor. They say, you old man, are you out of your drugs? Where are your drugs to help you be healthy in the radiation? The doctor's like, what the fuck? The doctor's like, what are you talking about? Even, I don't have any drugs. Can't you tell I'm dying? And I think it's really funny that the doctor's first conversation with his greatest enemies, the ones who would eventually lead to his genociding of his own people, is this old guy dying of radiation poisoning and the Daleks being like, hey you, pokes with stick, tell us where the drugs are. They could have just let him die here. Do you think in the future the Daleks ever like think about that and go, God dang it, you gotta be kidding me. Like, they have to, right? They have to. I would. Like, what do you mean we could have just let him die if we just hadn't done the whole thing of, like, trying to get the drugs? Which turns out in the end they didn't need anyway. In fact, they didn't want them because they are resistant to radiation. In fact, they kind of live off it now. It's weird. The Daleks talk about their origins, and Davros isn't mentioned. I don't know enough lore behind Davros to know why that is. But I just thought it was something to note. Oh, the Daleks eventually agree to let one of them go to get the drugs. And initially they want to go with Ian, but again, his legs are shot, so he can't go because he can't walk. And Susan can walk, and she's the one least affected by the radiation poisoning. And also, Ian's like, I can go, give me the TARDIS key. And Susan's like, you can't use the TARDIS key. And he's like, why not? And she's like, because there's a defense mechanism where there's like 21 holes in the keyhole, and if you put it in the wrong one, it locks, I guess? Like, you'll jam it? Does the TARDIS still have this function? No wonder the Doctor lands up wanting to snap his fingers all the time. What do you mean you have to memorize which keyhole to put it in? That's so annoying. I'm assuming they had to have gotten rid of that when the Doctor started handing out her keys to just, like, human beings, right? Like, the TARDIS had to get rid of that defense mechanism. Or he had to get rid of it. Someone had to get rid of it. Because otherwise, why would he hand the TARDIS keys to anyone? Anyway, Susan says that she has to be the one that goes, and Barbara and Ian are protesting, but Barbara much more so than Ian, which I think is sweet. I think it's sweet how much Barbara cares about Ian. Barbara cares about Ian. I mean, she does, but I think it's sweet how much Barbara cares about Susan. I think it's sweet. Barbara is just worried about everyone this episode. We have scenes of Susan going into the woods and all that stuff. Every single time she goes in the woods by herself, she's so dramatic. She's just like me. She goes into the woods, she's just immediately flipping out. And I'm like, oh my god. Then we come back to the Daleks, and the Daleks are like, are they dead yet? And the other Daleks are like, no. Every single time the Daleks talk in this, it's just, they talk so slowly. And it's like weirdly slow. Like, the Daleks don't usually talk this slow. And I'm guessing it's just because, like, of, like, restrictions, maybe? Like, maybe it has to do with the effect, maybe it's just that they can be legible, I don't know. But I just noticed that they talk really slow in this. But they're still funny. I love the Daleks. The Daleks are just so silly. Silly little guys. Anyway, they cut back to the room, and Barbara's worrying about the Doctor, and I thought that was cool. And then Ian's like, why are you worried about him? He deserves it. And I'm like, you know what, Ian? So fair. He does deserve it. That's something that I love about One that just doesn't happen to 10 enough. One did something shitty, and then immediately got his just desserts. That being almost dying of radiation poisoning. He deserved it. Maybe the TARDIS really was fucking with him. To give him a lesson. Writing an episode where Hartnell can just lay down the entire time is pretty smart. I still think that. From what I know, William Hartnell had a lot of health issues while filming Doctor Who. So that's why Ian does most of the stuff. And so having an episode where Hartnell just spends half of it just laying down, that's a pretty smart idea. Ian goes up to the door and he puts his, he's up to the door and he's like, hurry, Susan. Hurry, Susan. And I'm like, what are you doing? Is this like a prayer? What is this? She can't hear you. Anyway, she's still in the woods. She's still flipping out. And the scene where she's in the woods is kind of shot like that scene in Snow White where she's in the forest and all the trees are monsters and she's like, ah! That's how Susan is. And I love her. She's so silly. Then she gets to the TARDIS, she opens the door and she gets the drugs. And then, because the episode should be over, but they don't actually want to end it yet because they need more time in the episode, they just have Susan think about the fact that Ian told her not to waste any time. Which in and of itself is a waste of time. Girl. She's so silly. She's so stupid. I love her. I love these characters. This episode, honestly, if I'm gonna be honest, I think I might rank it lower than the first one. Just because it's a lot of cutting back and forth to kind of scenes of nothing. I liked the first episode more just because, I don't know, all the characters were very happy. It felt kind of at home. All their arguments felt more fun. This episode felt like it was trying to be dramatic, but because it's, you know, the 60s and the effects are kind of shit and the TV is kind of grainy, like the video is kind of grainy, like it I don't know, I think that the comedy works a bit better. What do you know? What do you know? Nothing's changed. I still view Doctor Who as comedy first. I think that this show, when it's a slice of life with hints of comedy, is very fun. I just not that the drama's bad in classic Who. Honestly, I think this drama is better than some episodes of modern Who, controversially. But I think that in general, I think that the funny episodes are a lot more fun than episodes like this. So yeah, in terms of Doctor Who, I would give this like I don't know. I'm trying to judge it alongside Modern Who when I feel like it should be in its own category. For Modern Who, like comparisons, I don't know. Like I'd give it like a C minus, C minus. It's not a bad episode. Short. It's more than I could say for quite a few modern episodes that are boring. This episode wasn't boring. It's just slow, you know? Uh, anything else to say on it? Not really. That's the problem with reviewing not the full story, but instead just like episode at a time. I I promise, hand on my heart, I promise, next time I will just suck it up and watch the full story. I might even watch it front to back, and you'll have to hear me talk about these two episodes a little bit again. I need to watch it. It's like 3 hours with commercials, but I don't care. I need to see it. Alright. I guess it's time for another break. I guess so. Alright, it is 12:24. Which is a problem because I don't think my topic time is gonna take up like basically an hour and a half. I don't think so. Um, I mean, I guess I could just take a slightly longer break. Guess that's an option. Jeez. Okay. I keep on shifting my setup. Uh, here's a fun fact. I'm not streaming at a desk. Last stream I was at a desk. And I was at a desk, and while I was there, I got some of the worst neck pain ever. I don't have like a gamer chair or anything like that. I have just a normal wooden chair. And I wasn't even leaning back on it, and yet I was in so much pain. My neck hurt so bad. And it wouldn't stop. And I literally had to move the entire stream to my bed. I was in that much pain. So the end of that stream, I was in bed just because of how much pain I was in. If you're wondering how I could do that, I stream on a laptop. If you would see my setup now, you would be like, damn, bitch, you live like this? Like that's about what my setup is like. Um, I need to talk more, because like my throat, like you can tell, I either need to talk more or drink water more, because my throat wants to kill itself right now. You can tell my voice sounds hella scratchy. On the one hand, though, not tired. Last stream, I was pretty tired. This stream, not so much. Which I don't know what that says about me. I'm not in no pain right now. But that's just because I don't like sitting in one position very long. I really should get up and stretch or something, is what I should do. But I really don't want to. I need to have a better place for my fucking phone to track my face. Because it keeps doing this really fun thing where it stops tracking me because I move an inch out of frame. Is this fine? Is this better? I can't even tell. You know, I really like my model, but I do wish that I had made my lip syncing a little less teeth. Like, I talk, and unless I really emphasize my words, a lot of the time when I talk, it's just teeth. Uh, which I personally don't really care for it because in a lot of my shorts, looks like I'm talking with my teeth, but I'm not. I'm talking like this, but I'm talking really subtly. Like I just don't open my mouth very far. And if I don't open my mouth really far, it makes it so that I talk like this. I talk like for some reason now I'm not doing it. Maybe it's just because the phone is closer or something. I don't know. I don't know. Questions for people who are not me. I I feel like I should be talking about something while on this break. You know, if I ever get here's the thing. If the wilderness years that we're currently in, the wilderness years, if the wilderness years that we are currently in become actual wilderness years too, and aren't just us waiting for a new production company somehow. If it somehow becomes worse than that, and then it becomes so long that I run out of Doctor Who, I'm probably gonna land up talking about Supernatural, which I haven't finished yet because I'm watching it with my mom because I was like, "Mom, you would love Supernatural. It's it's so up your alley." And she watches it while on her phone. So now I'm into it, but she isn't as much as I am, which means it's a pain in the ass to get her to watch it. But I don't want to keep watching without her because that feels rude. I started watching this with her, you know? Either that or I'll talk about something like Apothecary Diaries. I love Apothecary Diaries. It's like the only like recent anime that I've gotten super into. I should have gotten into Witch Hat Atelier. My brother was like, "Oh my god, you would love Witch Hat Atelier. It's literally about drawing." And I was like, and I watched it, and I was like, "Yeah, it's cute." I think it's just because I haven't gotten attached to a lot of the characters. That's a show where I feel like if I watched it in Japanese, I would honestly have a much better time. Just because I don't really like the English voices, especially not for the kids. I don't like them. I'm sorry. No offense to the voice actors. It's just I don't know. I just don't really like them that much. Uh, but Apothecary Diaries, that's what I was talking about. Apothecary Diaries is so good. And I love it so much. I love the romance. I love the mysteries. I love Apothecary Diaries. It's so good. I can't wait for Danny Botter to watch it. Oh my god, I can't wait for that. His Patreon. If I one become a member of Danny's Patreon. It's like so much good content for like not that much money. Like it's like I think $4 or $5 a month. And like I would rather have that than a Netflix. What do they have that's good on there? Seriously, I don't use Netflix. What do they have on there? Uh, fucking, there are so many streaming services that give so much less than you can get on Danny Mata's Patreon. And it sounds like an ad. It's not an ad. I just really want him to make more Patreon content. And I feel like if he had more Patreons, he would. Uh, all of his movie reactions, by the way, if you've watched just his YouTube reactions to the movies, you're missing out because they're just not as good as the ones on Patreon. I'm not saying they're like a complete A+ video every time, but like the ones on YouTube are so much worse. It's not even funny. Like people like I think even Danny himself recently in a video like advertising his Patreon was like, "Oh, they're not better or worse. They're just different." No, the ones on YouTube are worse. He cuts out so many good jokes. I don't know. I Moral of the story, become a member of Danny's Patreon because I'm so psyched for Apothecary Diaries. Dude, I'm so psyched for it. So psyched. Uh I my dream reaction from Danny would be Toradora. That's my favorite anime of all time. My favorite anime of all time is Toradora. That was one of my first animes, so obviously it holds a special place in my heart. But I love it so much. I love Toradora. And if Danny reacted to that, genuinely, his soul. I mean, my soul would be his. Not his soul would be my soul, his. I would hand it over. I mean, I don't have one. But if I still did, it would be his. That's what I'm saying. Um, but yeah, watch Danny Mata. Even if you're not a patron, just watch Danny Mata. His videos are great. He has some of the best reaction content, like ever. And I'm someone who really likes reaction channels. So like that's not coming from like a place of ignorance. I just really like his videos. Alright. It's 12:34. Do I think how long do I think this topic time is gonna be? To be fair, I could talk about this subject for a very, very long time, depending on how in the weeds I want to get with it. Alright. The problem is I don't have any visuals for this. Like before I had my notes. I don't have Roblox to play because my controller. So uh ooh, can't show that on stream. Hold on. Sorry, I was working on a thing and I was like, oh, maybe I could show that. I can't show that on stream. Oh, I can't show that on stream. That is not appropriate for YouTube audiences. Um Hey, have you guys ever heard of the word cattywampus? Cattywampus is my favorite word. It's a great word, cattywampus. Uh, Sorry, that came out of nowhere. I just have a document called cattywampus because it's my favorite word. I want to make a story called cattywampus because I just think that's a great word. Um, anyway, uh, I don't have something to show on screen, so you can take a look at this preview of a fanfic I'm working on while I talk. It's a Dr. River fic. It's on theme. My topic, not Dr. River. Uh, Not generally speaking. Trust me, if we talk about Dr. River generally speaking, then the stream's gonna go on for until 5 a.m. and you won't want that. You won't want that. So instead, what I'm gonna be talking about is why the Doctor and River are not forced to be together and why that argument's stupid. It's a stupid argument. Alright. So, for those that don't know, it is very common in anti-river. For those that don't know, it's very common in anti-Dr. River spaces for people to say that the reason they don't like Dr. River is because they're forced to be together. Whether it's River forcing it or the Doctor forcing it, it's rarely the Doctor forcing it. Most of the people who are anti-Dr. River just don't like River. Or they like 10 Rose. The most insane freaking Dr. River haters are always Time Petals fans. Like, always. Guys, we're not hurting your ship. Your ship can be over there, ours can be over here. Like, I get when there's shipping wars about ships like Zutara and Katang. Because, like, obviously, those two ships overlap. They are directly in conflict. One of them doesn't technically exist, but, you know, it's shipping, so that doesn't matter. Baku Deku x Toru Deku shippers, if those two had conflict. Totally understandable. Once again, direct contradiction. This isn't a direct contradiction. This would be like if someone got angry because I shipped o3o and Aizawa, and then they shipped Mike and Aizawa. We don't need to fight. o3o's dead. Spoilers, I guess. But he is. He's dead. Why are we fighting? Rose has the doctor. She has her Metacrisis doctor. Everyone's happy. Why are we fighting? Why are you guys being so weird about this? I would get if it's like Clara Doctor shippers. I don't know what their ship name is. But like Clara Doctor shippers being mad at us, sure. It's still stupid. He's a time traveler. I don't think it matters. Still dumb. But like, whatever. Fine. But this? Time Petals fan? Why? What do you mean? Whatever. The point is that a lot of people make the argument that they're forced to be together, whether by river or by time itself. And that's more than what I want to talk about. Even though the river one is also stupid. But that could be a topic all on its own, how people are really gross towards River as a character. People are so weird about older women, man. Women in general, but older women especially, people, so weird. If you add older black women, you might as well just go home. Go home. If you don't want to talk about it, it's insane how some people act, especially on the internet, but like in general, awful. Awful. Anyway, people are really weird towards women. That's end of sentence. People are weird towards women. But I want to talk about how time is not forcing River and the Doctor together. And your argument's stupid. Alright. So first of all, why do people think time are forcing River and the Doctor together? And the answer is because they're stupid. I'm not gonna be mean. That's not the reason. That's not the whole reason. People think they're forced to be together because their entire relationship is kind of a paradox, more or less. Except for the fact that it isn't. And this has to do with the very specific thing that Moffat has very clearly established about his paradoxes. That being that this isn't a paradox. I need to restart that sentence. The reason why people believe that time is forcing River and the Doctor to be together is because I almost said because they're stupid again. I'm trying not to be mean on the internet. I'm trying so hard. Why do you all have to be so stupid? Anyway, the reason that they think that is because of the way their timelines work. You know, diaries, spoilers, all that nonsense. It implies that there is a set timeline for their relationship. That's what it implies. Except for the fact that that's not how that works. Except for the fact that's not how that works. Sweetie, baby, honey pie, that's not how it works. It's very, very clearly established why River and the Doctor even use spoilers or diaries or any of that. And ironically enough, it's for the exact problem that we're talking about right now. So, my favorite example of this is the one I'm going to use right now. Is literally in the first episode. And it's the most iconic scene. It's the scene where River dies. And the Doctor says, "You whispered my name. You whispered my name in my ear. There's only one time I would ever say my name." And River intentionally cuts him off and says spoilers. And that's their entire relationship. That's it. There you go. You wanna know why they aren't forced together? It's that. It's that right there. It's because nothing is set in stone. And what's funniest about that is the fact that Moffat, at a certain point, literally spelled it out for you. And people still complain about it and still either lie or just don't care. I can't tell anymore. With the internet, it's so hard to tell what's willful ignorance and what's just regular stupidity. Because sometimes people are just ignorant. And that's okay. It's okay to not know something. But sometimes people are just willfully ignorant. And those are the people who I assume are Time Petals fans. Because how? How can you watch Manhattan and not get it? And not get it. The whole thing is River wrote a book that the Doctor can't read because if he reads it, it'll set their future in stone. And then it's proven when he reads it that it sets their future in stone. And then they get even more specific with it. They get even more specific with it. Because the Doctor reads something. He reads that something specific needs to happen. And then he doesn't do it. Because it's not specific enough. He says the specific line. For those who don't know, for those who haven't seen Manhattan, Amy reads ahead in the book. And she says the line where it's like the Doctor, River says, "Oh, why do you have to break mine?" And then the Doctor responds, "Because Amy read it in a book and now I have to." And the Doctor freaks out and explains to her that if we read about our own future, it's set in stone. And sorry, I just had a million thoughts go through my head at once. And then we get to the actual scene where River asks whose wrist he's gonna break, the angel's or hers. And then she's like, "Oh, why do you gotta break mine?" And then he says, "Because Amy read it in a book and now I have to." Except for he doesn't break her wrist. Because that wasn't specified in the book. In fact, it's not even specified that River has to break her wrist. But she did have to, because how else was she getting out of that without his help? But the only thing that was specified is that the Doctor had to say that. And he did. And that is their timeline. Here's the thing. I like to call this, in Moffat world, his weird paradox rules. I like to call an instant like this Schrodinger's paradox. Because is it a paradox? Sorry, I just fumbled my entire words. All of them. All of my words were fumbled. I like to call this in Moffat world Schrodinger's paradox. Where you don't know if it's an actual paradox until you have all of the information. And until you have all the information, it's up in the air. And that's their entire timeline. Their entire timeline is Schrodinger's paradox. Where because they never give anything too specific, it never creates a paradox. That's why spoilers exist. What the hell is happening? Hold on a second. That's... Oh! Oh, I've been peeking my mic. Why am I peeking my mic all of a sudden? Hold on. Is that better? Ah! I've been yelling. Fuck. Hold on. Hold on. Let me just... Okay. Okay. Is that better? I hope that's better. Jesus. My volume isn't even all the way up. Oh. Oh no. Last stream, I was so quiet. And this stream, I've been blowing out people's eardrums, man. God. Thank God I'm streaming to no one. Thank God I would have killed somebody. This is why you need to have your headphones on. For the record, this is why you should have your headphones on. I turned mine off. I turned mine off because I hate the echo. But I should have them on. I should have them on to avoid things like this. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Right. Schrodinger's paradox. If you don't have enough information, it's not a paradox. That's the that's it in essence. And that is their entire relationship. Because the reason why they're not locked into anything, the reason why it isn't a paradox, is because they don't know about it. They don't know about their own future, therefore it's not a paradox. That's how it works. That's how all of Moffat's paradoxes work. That's the only reason why the Wedding of Her song is meant to make sense. It doesn't make sense for different reasons, but it's meant to make sense because if you don't know about your own future, then you can't contradict it. um Even the episode in season 8 that literally talks about bootstrap paradoxes has a Schrodinger's paradox in it. Because Clara says she sees the doctor dead because she sees his ghost. And then it turns out to be a projection because the doctor got the idea from her saying she saw his ghost and then also telling him not to die. So that's what Schrodinger's paradox is. It's a very common thing in Moffat stories. And that's why time isn't forcing them to be together. Because they are very, well, okay, River is very careful about what she says to the doctor. That's why. Literally you see it all throughout the episodes that I just watched, which is whenever River's talking about the doctor's future, she rarely, if ever, says anything definitive. I think the closest she gets to a definitive statement in this about something the doctor will do in the future is the doctor says, "I'm not your taxi service. I'm not going to be there to catch you every single time you feel like jumping out of a spaceship." And she says, "Oh, and that's where you're so wrong." But even then, she's not saying, "You're always going to be there to catch me." She's just saying he's wrong. And yeah, that obviously could mean that he is always there to catch her. That's certainly what it implies, but that's not direct. And that's a very important distinction. Because if she just said, "Yes, you are," then yeah, he's kind of forced to be there, because otherwise it's a paradox. That's not what she said. And she said it very specifically because that's the entire point of their relationship. And it genuinely drives me nuts. Because it's so clear just from the fact that the Maine Manhattan, like from My Little Pony, Manhattan. It's so clear just from Manhattan existing that Moffat thought about this, and he put so much effort into making it clear as to why they aren't forced to be together. And some people still missed it. How did you miss it? It has to be intentional, right? Like, I'm not going crazy. It has to be intentional. Because how could you possibly miss this? He spelled it out for you. He might as well have just written it out on screen and said, "This is why the Doctor and River aren't forced to be together." Because they don't specify stuff about their own future. To be fair, in Let's Kill Hitler, I give the Doctor a lot of shit because he's very loose-lipped in Let's Kill Hitler. He keeps calling Dr. River the Doctor. What am I even saying? He's very loose-lipped in Let's Kill Hitler. He keeps calling Melody River. He keeps doing it. And she keeps calling out. He keeps doing it. He's so bad at it. And I mean, obviously, it's because it's really hard to call someone you've been dating for years as River a different name. Especially when that name is one associated with your best friend's child. Ew. The amount of dissonance the Doctor probably has to have to deal with those two things existing. I literally made a chart once. Because a certain character of mine may also fall into a sort of box similar to Amy and River in the sense of she has one name as a child and one name as an adult, and the Doctor associates the child with one name and the adult with another adult. Older, not important. The point is that, like, Amy versus Amelia is a very clear distinction the Doctor said. Like, he thinks of Little Amelia and then Amy Pond. Because I feel like that's the only way that he can deal with the fact that he's taking his little Amelia on these death-defying adventures. And then there's, of course, Melody Pond and River Song, which you need to have dissonance for that. What do you mean? You need to have dissonance. You can't think about that. That'll make you go crazy, Doc. That'll make you go crazy. And I think he knows that. I think he does. So he needs to have dissonance there. I literally made a chart. Like, these are two very separate categories in his mind. Because if he thinks about this for too long, if he thinks about the fact that these are the same person for too long, he's gonna go crazy. And I wouldn't blame him. Alright. I got severely off topic. The point is, I give the Doctor a lot of crap for how he behaves in Let's Kill Hitler. But in reality, he is fairly, closed off about her future. Like, he doesn't start saying what she's gonna do or what she's gonna be. He says maybe that he forgives or loves her, depends on what you think he whispered in her ear. I'm not getting into it. But I think it's that he forgives or loves her. I think it's one of those two things. I think loves is more likely. I know I said in my Let's Kill Hitler review that, the forgiveness thing. I said that because it's really, I don't want to say controversial because I feel like that's being a bit dramatic about it. It's not kosher to say that the Doctor said I love you in River's ear in that scene. Because again, a lot of times Petals fans are freaking crazy. They're freaking crazy. People hate 11 River. People hate 11 River. And so if you just say like, oh yeah, the Doctor said I love you in that scene, a lot of people are gonna argue with you. A lot of them. And I just didn't feel like dealing with it. Not that a ton of people, it's not important. Anyway, I feel like I keep getting off track. Which, I mean, maybe that's important. Maybe it's important to get off track given the fact that I have so much longer to stream. Like, I have a full hour left. I have a full hour. And, you know, that's a long time. Not like that long, but it's a decent amount of time. I just realized that I completely forgot where I am in terms of talking about this. I give the Doctor a lot of crap in Let's Go Hitler, but he's not as bad as I give him credit for. he's not that bad at it, but River's just so much better at it that it's kind of hard to compare. Like, River in literally every single episode, so careful with what she says all the time. I think the worst she gets in terms of being careful about anything would be the husbands of River Song, but she doesn't even know that the Doctor's there. And if she did, she would have been more careful. So, and she doesn't talk about his future there. She just talks about her emotions, which is something she covers up. I could go on a whole ramble about Manhattan right now. I love 11 Rivers so much. Have I mentioned I love 11 Rivers so much? You know what? Let's just talk about something real quick. It genuinely kind of upsets me that 12 is the one to go with River to Beryllium. It kind of genuinely upsets me. Not because I think, oh, the Doctors are different, or oh, I just wanted my favorite Doctor to go to Beryllium with her. That's not the reason. The reason I don't like it is because it gives people who don't like 11 River an excuse to just say, oh, that's her Doctor. 12 is her Doctor. They spent 24 years together. That's her Doctor. Do you know how long 11 and River spent together? It was most of her life. And I don't mean like childhood, I mean most of her adult life. She was dating 11 specifically. He spent, from 11's perspective, let's say that they started dating. Let's be really generous and say Demon's Run is where they started officially dating, which is being so generous. Because I could go back way further and say technically they were dating here. Let's just say Demon's Run was the first time they were like officially dating. that still means that 11 has what, like 200, 300 years, maybe more left of his life. I completely forget how long. Actually, no, it's much longer because he's like, how long by the time he dies? Like 1,000, 2,000, and he was like 900 something by the time of the Wedding of River Song? I don't remember. My point is that he was with River for so long from his perspective. And from her perspective, she was with him most of her adult life. But no, they spent 24 years together, so clearly 12 is her doctor. What are we talking about? And it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. Mainly just because people are ageist pieces of shit about it. Like, oh yeah, 12 and her just had more chemistry. In what sense? In what sense did they have more chemistry? It wasn't the flirting, because 11 flirted with her too. It wasn't the maturity level, because there was plenty of times where 11 was just as mature as her. I don't I don't know what we're talking about. And I feel like I'm going crazy, man. This topic time has genuinely completely gone off the rails. And that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that happened. I honestly feel like I should just start over. And I mean, like, who's gonna stop me? There's no one here. You know what? I'll even double check just to be sure I'm not wasting anyone's time. Yeah, there's no one here. I got a view at some point, but there's no one here. So you know what that means? I can talk about whatever I want. And I can restart this talk time. No one's gonna stop me. No one is gonna stop me. So let's try this again. A lot of people believe that the Doctor and River are forced to be together. And they're wrong. The reason that they're wrong is because 11 and River being forced together by time doesn't actually work when you look at their relationship. Because their entire relationship, all of their rules that the Doctor and River have about diaries and spoilers, all of that is meant to prevent them being forced to be together. And so it's really annoying that people say that, oh yeah, no, time forces them to be together. That's why I don't like them as a couple. No, it doesn't. That's literally the entire reason why they have spoilers. It's because of that. And let me explain. So Moffat has this rule, where if you see your own future, well, read, yada yada, your own future, it's set in stone. You can't change it. This is a rule specifically outlined in Manhattan, where the Doctor has a book that River wrote that he cannot read, or else his future is set in stone. If you read your own future, it's set in stone. However, if you have unspecific and vague information about your own future, then it's not set in stone. Because that doesn't tell you anything. For example, in Manhattan, Amy says to the Doctor a quote from the book where River's like, "Oh, why do you have to break mine?" And then the Doctor responds in the book, "Because Amy read it in a book, and now I have to." And the Doctor freaks out and is like, "No, you can't do that. We can't read ahead. It's our future. It'll set in stone." And then Amy's like, it doesn't matter. The point is, they get to that scene that they read in the book where River's like, "Oh, whose wrist are you gonna break, mine or hers? Whose wrist are you gonna break, mine or hers?" And the Doctor's like, looks at her, and then she's like, "Oh, why'd you have to break mine?" And then he's like, "Because Amy read it in a book, and now I have to." And he had to say that. That had to have been his answer, because he read it. But what's important to note is that he doesn't land up breaking her wrist. She lands up breaking her wrist. And that's because her wrist being broken
was never the paradox. Him saying it was the paradox. He doesn't break her wrist. She broke her own getting out because he didn't help her out. And it's really funny because he could have just done that. He could have just broken the angel's wrist and gotten her out. There you go, future change. Except for it wouldn't have changed the future, obviously, because that was never what the future was supposed to be. Amy read the one line. He said the one line. There's the paradox. And this is what I like to call Schrodinger's paradox. And that being when you have vague information about something, that when you don't know what's inside the box, you don't know that it's paradox or not. And the Schrodinger's paradox is essentially the diaries, spoilers, all that nonsense. If you don't have all the information, it's not a paradox yet. And this is the concept behind the death of the Doctor as well, by the way. Like, the Tesselecta died on the beach. Everyone saw it die on the beach. Canton said it was the Doctor, but Canton's not a reliable source. So, all that, fixed point, everything. All of this so the Tesselecta could die on the beach. But because we didn't know for sure it was the Doctor, therefore, not a paradox. That's the logic. And this is literally all of the Doctor and River's relationship. River's dialogue specifically, if you pay attention, Moffat's so careful to write her as never saying anything super concrete about the Doctor's future. Like, she is so careful about making sure that she doesn't lock him into anything, because that's the only reason their rules exist, so that they don't lock each other into being in a relationship. And you know how I know that that's what Moffat meant? You know how I know that that's what he was going for? Because it's literally in the first freaking episode. In the first friggin' episode where River dies, the Doctor starts to say the only time he would say his name to someone. And you know what happens? You know what happens? River cuts him off and says spoilers so that he isn't obligated to tell her his name when they get married. Oh my god. She never confirms it. And that's important because it means he's not locked into marrying her at all. Because he doesn't need to say his name there because she stopped him from confirming it. Ugh. Why do you think? Why do these people think that River was so torn up about telling the Doctor his name? Like, saying that she knew his name, why did they think that was a big deal? Because I know why it was a big deal. It was a big deal because her telling him that she knew his name meant she was forcing him to at some point have to tell her, whether he wanted to or not. She violated their rules and locked him into that. And it was something so deeply personal, and she knows that. And that's what makes her so broken up about it. That's why she apologizes and gets so upset. It's because she broke a rule and about something so important. She locked him into revealing super important information about himself at some point. And why do they think River was broken up about it? Is what I want to know. Why do they think she was broken up about it? If they think that time is forcing them to be together, then why do they think this was a problem at all? Clearly she was meant to say that. I don't know. I don't know. People are so weird about these two. All the time. But this especially, I just don't get it. Because you're just wrong. Manhattan, I cannot think of a more explicitly spelled out friggin' plot point than what they did in Manhattan. Like, they spelled it out so clearly to you. How did you miss it? How could you have possibly missed it? It's impressive, if nothing else. How? How did you do that? The Doctor, also, River did not force the Doctor to marry her. I don't know where that came from. Can I just bring that up real quick? River did not force the Doctor to marry her. That's not a thing that happened. River says, "Am I the woman who murders you or the woman who marries you?" And then the doctor's like, "Ooh, I don't want to marry you because he's a dick." The doctor was awful that episode. But I'm not gonna get into that. Um, Ultimately, he decides to marry her so he can get close enough to say his plan, which is stupid, by the way. Why doesn't he just say the plan? What, is he worried about the silence overhearing? They're all downstairs killing people. What are we worried about, Doc? Like on the beach. Look, here's the thing. To an extent, I can understand why he avoided saying anything on the beach. Do I still think it was stupid? Absolutely. Do I still think he was needlessly aggressive? Absolutely. Do I think that the fact that River just so happened to kidnap Madame Kavarian, so therefore him saying it in the pyramid technically wasn't an option, even though I don't even know if she would remember. I guess she is a time traveler, maybe? I don't know. Would she remember? Maybe. Point is, I think that it's stupid, but I get why he would wait until they were at the top of the distress beacon at least to tell her. Except for the fact that no, I don't. It's so mean. He was so needlessly mean to her. And I get it. I get it. This is very much an instance of 10 showing. Because I get it. I get the reason why he was being mean. I understand it. That doesn't mean that it justifies it. Just because I understand something doesn't mean that I think it's justified or fun to watch. The doctor's being an ass. But anyway, the point is, River did not force him to marry her. Even she was confused when he said that. But, I mean, she was willing to. She loves him. Not that I know why. You know? Side tangent. Side tangent. If I were to ask Moffat any questions, most of them would be about River. But if I had three, first one would be, can he recite the actual River timeline? And I don't just mean the easy ones, because they played that game on the Alex Kingston interview that's freaking aired recently, where they were like, "Oh, can you tell us the timeline of River Song?" But they picked all the easy ones, all the freaking easy ones, where they were like, "Let's kill Hitler," the fucking "Let's kill Hitler." I forget the other ones. Uh, A Good Man Goes to War, Husbands of River Song. It was like easy ones. And I was like, no. You know which ones I want them to pick? The Pandorica. Where does the Pandorica fall on River's timeline? It has to be early, because that's where she gets her vortex manipulator, right? So it has to be early. So how early is it? It has to be so early. In that case, where is the crash of the Byzantium? How late is that? She talks about the wedding like she done it recently, or at least that she remembers it very well. I guess she could just have a really good memory. What about the Impossible Astronaut? Where does that fall in time? Does anyone know? That's what I would ask Moffat. I would ask Moffat if he can actually do all the hard ones. If he actually knows or if he just is guessing. That's what I want to know, first off. Second off, does he believe in the Uni River dating 11 thing? For those that don't know, who aren't as into 11 River as I am, there's a very common thing where people will write that 11 went to date River in uni. And the reason that they write that is because why the hell was she so willing to sacrifice the universe for him if the only time she met him was Berlin? Big Finish said because she wrote an essay on him, I think, which is insane. Insane. But we're not talking about Big Finish. We're talking about fan fiction writers. You know, that's not technically what Big Finish. I'm being so mean. I'm being so mean. Uh, I'm just being mean today. I'm sorry. I talked about one. I told you I was having a bad day. I got pissed on today. I talked about the assault scene today. I'm just not having a good day. So I'm being kind of mean. And I shouldn't be. Not to strangers like the people at Big Finish. It's not their fault that they're writing semi-official fan fiction. Anyway, uh, but there's a common trope in 11 River Fix where 11 went back to when River was in university and they dated, whether by accident or on purpose, doesn't really matter. And I want to know if Moffat would think that that theory is cute. I'm expecting him to not say that it's canon, but I would like it if he were to just say that it was cute. Because I really like that trope. Because I think it's fun. Also, for anyone about to say, like, oh, he went to go see her in uni, that's weird. She was like 50 there, guys. Can we calm down? Anyway, and I don't mean like her actress was 50. I mean she was like 50. Anyway, um, third question, why does Clara exist? That would not be my third question. I would ask a more respectful question than that. But it would be a question on my mind. um, I feel like I just got completely off track. Again. The point is, River didn't force 11 to marry her. That's not a thing that happened. 11 married her, whether he did under weird circumstances or not. Like, he definitely married her of his own free will. She did not ask him to do that. She did not ask him to do that. He did that for whatever reason. He could have just asked her, like, he could have asked for any reason for her to come closer. It did not need to be that. But whatever. Uh, if you want to say that anyone forced the Doctor and River to be together, the Doctor, way more culpable than River is in that. Have you seen his behavior in Let's Kill Hitler? He just is consistently calling her River, consistently acting like River, this person that he keeps calling her, is his love interest, and then I think he says I love you in her ear. If anyone forced them to be together, it wasn't Time, it wasn't River, it was the Doctor, which I know these people don't want to hear, because in their mind, the Doctor is a poor innocent victim who was forced to love the weird sexy lady. But that's not what happened. Even in your own scenario, the Doctor is the one desperate here. So I don't know what we're talking about. God, people are so weird about them. They're so weird about them. They're not forced to be together. That is literally. Why do you think spoilers exist? That's the part I don't get. Why do these people think spoilers exist? For the sake of the audience? They think they exist so that the Doctor gets a happy surprise when things happen, but River already knows what's gonna happen. River knows what's gonna happen because she's from the future. And once the Doctor's the older one, he's gonna know what happens. The whole point is that they don't tell each other so that those things can happen naturally, as opposed to happening by force, which would happen if they told each other what happened. Oh, but a set timeline implies zip. No, it doesn't. The timeline is set. The timeline isn't set, by the way. Can I mention that? The Doctor, even in the episode I literally just watched, brings up the fact that time can be rewritten. You know when that concept, I believe, was first introduced? Do you know when that concept, the concept of time can be rewritten, I think was first brought up? I'm pretty sure it was the library episode. Now I can double check. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was brought up in an earlier Moffat script. But I am 99% sure the first time that was ever even mentioned was literally the freaking library episode. How are you this stupid? How are you this stupid? It genuinely annoys me. It genuinely annoys me. Cause how? How? In conclusion, you're all dumb. You're all dumb. Stop talking about my babies like that. You're all dumb. Alright. I talked for around 45 minutes. Hopefully there's some coherent video I can edit out of that. I doubt it. And if I can, it's gonna be like 5 minutes long. I guess that means that we're on to miscellaneous. But first, I am gonna have some more soda because I'm thirsty. My throat hurts. I've been yelling. Mmm. Delicious. Jesus Christ. I almost spilled my soda everywhere. That would have been bad. Alright. You know, while I'm here on this fanfic of mine, let's just talk about it for fun. I was thinking about concepts, 'cause I like thinking about concepts for fics and then never writing them. But I thought of this concept where, the doctor shows up somewhere after River asked for help, and when he finds the group of people who are with her, they say that she's dead. Basically, the entire premise of the fic is that the doctor is in denial about River being dead, because of course he is. He saw her die. Why would he assume that she's dead now? That doesn't make any sense. And the fic is just seeing more and more signs that are like, River is dead. She's obviously dead. She is so clearly dead. And the doctor getting more and more freaked out about it. The entire fic is like the doctor slowly going fucking crazy because she can't be dead. She can't be. And this is like a married doctor, by the way. This is like very far in their timeline. And this is the area where like he's traveling with the pawns pre-Manhattan, but post a pawn's life, post the power of three. The power of three will set us free. The power of three will set us free. I'm just kidding. Um, but like post Power of Three, pre Manhattan, this era of the Doctor traveling with the pawns. So like so close to the end of their timeline. And the Doctor like hears like is slowly being convinced that like maybe River is actually dead. And he flips the fuck out. He flips the fuck out. Uh and that's the entire premise of this fic. And I haven't gotten very far into it, unfortunately. This looks like a lot of words. That's just because, for once, I'm actually writing a semi-detailed style. Normally with my fics, hold on. Actually, do I want people to see my docs folder? Hold on. Do I want people to see my docs folder? I don't think so. Look, my docs folder is for me and me alone. Uh, where is... Hold on. Okay. This is how I normally write fics. And you may say, what's the difference there? It's just that the paragraphs are normally a lot shorter. Like, you notice how all these paragraphs are like super short and they're just kind of like dialogue, description of how they said dialogue, and like general, like barely legible thoughts. Like, it doesn't describe much about the scenery or even have much internal monologue, if I'm being honest. Meanwhile, this one, like, the paragraphs aren't like a ton longer, but like, there is a distinct difference. Like, it's just a lot more words than I normally write. Mainly because I describe the scene and I'm describing a lot of characters. I don't even describe the scene that well. I need to add in details about like the mountains and stuff. Uh, but I really don't. I need to learn how to write scripts. The day I learn how to write scripts, it's over for all y'all bitches. Cause I don't like. That's not true. I like writing the flavor text, but I would much rather just write dialogue like this. But the problem is, this is not a script. This is just lines of dialogue. I don't know. Um, but yeah, essentially the entire premise of this fic is just River makes it look like she's dead, not on purpose. She gets like kidnapped or something. I think it was the whole thing is that they're in the mountains and there are a bunch of like crime uh families, not families. Okay. Sky pirates. I don't know why I'm acting like I'm spoiling this fanfic. No one who reads my fanfics knows I have a YouTube channel. Um so essentially the fic is River gets kidnapped by space pirates. But they really make it look like she's dead because they don't know she's anyone important. They don't know they can ransom her. So they just kidnap her and it looks like she's dead because she put up a fight. Um and basically the doctor freaks out. Why? One, I like watching the doctor suffer. I like writing him suffering. So that's one thing. But two, I just really wanted to write a fic where the doctor goes fucking crazy over his wife. I don't know. I just think that that's fun. So yeah, that's one miscellaneous thing. We have around 30 minutes left? Damn. We've been streaming a long time. After this, I need to edit a YouTube short. And then I can go to bed. Because I have work tomorrow. Luckily not early, though. So there's that. I... Me and my friend have this sort of theory. Well, not theory. More like fun idea where what if River was Patience? Those who don't know who Patience is, because I understand it's a bit of a deep cut. Patience is the name of the doctor's wife in external media, some external media. She's been mentioned in Big Finish. She's mentioned in a few comics. Uh, I think she might be mentioned in one of the novels. I don't remember. And me and my friend were basically like, what if River was Patience? And we kind of, well, I kind of like developed a bit of an AU for her. Not even AU, more just a story where like, what if she was? Here's the story. Um, anyway. I have a picture with all of her faces, which is why I brought it up, because it's just in my docs. I would show it, but it's part of a full doc thing that I don't really want to show. What the fuck is this? Try and do things better. I could jump down, not afraid of pain. Stay alive another day. Man, this is some emo ass bullshit. I was in such a headspace when I wrote that. Oh, I get it. Okay. My dogs have weird names. They either have really weird names or just like letters. Like so many of my dogs are just called H. What the hell? The fuck was that? It's been so long since I went scrolling through my docs. What the fuck is this? Why is this called How You Thought? What the fuck? That's from my Wattpad days, dude. Wattpad. Wattpad. I don't fucking know. I used to say Wattpad. And then my friend was like, it's Wattpad. And I was like, I thought it was Watt. Like gigawatts. What do you mean it's Wattpad? What the hell? But now I can only say Wattpad because my friend bullied me into doing it. Fuck you, girl. If you ever find this, you know who you are. Why did you do this to me? I have my own doctor. It's something that, uh, I mean, you can see the video on my channel. It's not something I've hidden. Uh, and my favorite thing about her is the fact that I just constantly get to ship her with River. I forgot I started a House of the Dragon fic. I never finished this. That's sad. To be fair though, I never finished this because I was lazy, but then I found the exact concept. Not exact. I plan to have one character stab another, and they had them push them out the window. But I don't care. I wrote, I started writing the fic because I was so desperate to find it, couldn't find it. And then the fic existed. It existed, and that's so awesome. Have you ever been so desperate for a fic that you started writing it, and then later found out it just already existed, so you didn't have to write it anymore? It's the best. It's the best. Anyway, Damon would never think the phrase shaking their boots. He just wouldn't. That's not violent enough. God. God. Damon would say that. I disagree. Killing yourself is not cowardly. Don't frame don't frame suicidal people as cowardly, dude. Like, it's so screwed up when people do that. Like, just because, like, it's not cowardly to be in so much pain. You would rather die. That's not cowardly. People suck. But Damon would say he would say that's cowardly though. He would. There's been a lot of House of the Dragon discussion this stream. And by a lot I mean like 2 sections. But like that's way more than I usually talk about it. It's because it's been invading my Twitter feed lately. That's the reason. Season 3 started airing and then my Twitter feed got invaded by the House of the Dragon. And it sucks, man. Do you know how annoying it is to have your entire Twitter feed filled with people being misogynistic assholes? And yes, my Twitter feed isn't full of Team Greens. It's full of Team Blacks who are responding to Team Greens. But I don't want to see it just a bunch of misog. Do I not have enough of that from the news? I live in America, man. Half of our politics are just misogyny. So, like, do I need to deal with more in the incest show? I don't know. This is a weird blend of book and show canon that I've written out here. I don't think I'm ever gonna post this, but it's just interesting to read. I think I'm done reading it though. There's been a lot of streaming and just quiet in this last section, but I get caught up reading things. Oh my god, I still need to finish that. I haven't abandoned you. I haven't. I know it seems like I have, but I haven't. I will get back to you someday. I promise. Same with my comic. I really should be working on that. Promise I never have the motivation. I really want to. I need medication, probably. I probably need medication. I don't want to take ADHD meds. I hate pills. I hate pills. They're the worst. I hate them. I hate them. But, you know, I probably should take them, but I don't want to. I don't want to. What the hell? What the fuck is this even? Trash in that. What the fuck? I didn't want to do that. Why did you do that? No! What? Hold on. I just want to talk for a second. I have a mentality that I feel like a lot more fanfic writers should have. Make your character 10% more mean than you think that they are in canon. Why? Because so many of us, me included, tend to scrub off the edges of the characters we like. We tend to sanitize them in our minds and view them as better as they should be. When I am writing a fic, I try to write the Doctor 10% meaner than I think than my natural instinct is to write him. Because you need to have your characters be a little mean. If you sanitize them, they don't seem like them anymore. And it's something that bothers me a lot in so many fanfics I read, where it just feels like sanitized versions of the characters. Any flaw that the character has, multiply it by 10%. For example, there are so many fics that I read where River is emotional. Like openly emotional about her pain, about her feelings. And she just isn't, bro. My time topic. I think I fall into this trap a little bit in my time topic. But usually my excuse is just I say hormones. Which I understand. Lame excuse. But she isn't like that in my other fics. I just don't do that. Because that's not how River is. And I understand I'm shitting on fanfic writers, and you're not supposed to do that. But I'm a fanfic writer and a reader, and I'm sick of seeing it. I just want them to be in character. Because it's really hard. It's really hard to read a fic. Because I read fics, specifically for these two, as a replacement for our lack of canon content. Because so much of the relationship is off screen. So I need something to fuel my off screen fanfic dreams. And if they're out of character, it's really hard. And I understand that it's not their obligation to write for me specifically, but I feel like I'm not the only one. Please? Anyway.
I feel like I keep going quiet, and that's because I keep reading. Maybe I should be talking about something. I don't know what to talk about. Normally I would like have something to do that would result in me talking. Like worst case scenario, if I'm playing Roblox, I can just talk about how much I suck at the game. But unfortunately, my controller decided to be a little bitch today. So, you know, that's fun. Oh, this isn't. Okay. Fascinating. That isn't unnamed. Ooh, first yawn. Yay! I was yawning way, way too much last stream. This one, it took so long. All comes down to the end of the beginning. Cards are dealt now. All comes to the end of the beginning. Cards are dealt now with more ready than seen. I tried to break up. Seems that I've fallen for you. God, what am I going to do? Oh, I see what I was trying to. Okay. I've seen the end of the story when it's printed itself on my hearts. And I look into mine. Yeah, no, I see. Okay. There's a lot of just like little half songs written out in here. I have two OCs called Yip and Bark. That's how much I love dogs. uh, Ooh. Mm. I'm just running out the clock, but the thing is that I'm trying to talk while I do it, and I'm failing, dude. I'm failing. Why the hell is this just called cucked? What is this? The curve hits a last page every time so you reach the end. The bird can't say a word, so hard to play pretend. Cause I'm falling, 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 falling for you. All your fading, 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 fading away again. You are there. That's because I'm the page every time it's the end. Bird can say a word, so hard to play pretend. Cause I'm falling, 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 falling for you. All your fading, 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 fading away again. Fluttering together, good now, good, that's what the future girl. Yeah, okay. I don't even hate this. It's just, I don't remember it. I need to stop doing this. I'm fucking at my Google Docs order. Oh no. Shit. Yeah, no, that would be bad. Ah, where is it? You need to be up top. These aren't in like alphabetical order or anything. There's that. And you know what? I want, there we go. Just so that stays closer to the top. Alright. It is 1:50. Technically, I could stay here for 10 more minutes. But no one's here, and I have a short to edit. So, I think we're done. This is the closest we ever got to 4 hours. So, I don't have much to say. Good day, good night.